Call our City Commission meeting to order November 19th, 2007. Call roll, please.
Stevens?
Here.
Tran?
Here.
O'Neill?
Here.
Here.
Young?
Here.
Peterson?
Here.
Holt?
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum, thank you. Of our invocation tonight by our good friend Reverend Larry Sparks from New Beginnings Church. All who wish to, please rise. And Reverend Sparks, would you say a special prayer for Glenabelle Tarrant's family? She passed away. Was it just today? I hear. Just today? Today. And I believe the funeral's on Friday, so would you
All right.
add
Sure.
her to your prayers?
Sure will. And before we ask the Lord for anything, this is Thanksgiving week. I'd just like to express a word of thanksgiving to the Lord for all He has provided with us. There's water in the lake. There's never enough money in the bank account, but we thank the Lord for what He has done and what He has provided. And we're always asking Him for things. We just want to be a little bit grateful this evening. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, your word teaches us that in everything, not necessarily for everything, but in the midst of everything, be thankful. For this is the will of God in Christ Jesus. And so we are thankful people. We ask that you would bless this meeting this evening and every person who has a part, those who have positions, those who will make decisions, and those who have problems. We ask that you would make provision and sew it all together in unity so all these solutions may meet the need. For we know that there are those who see what others cannot see, and they know what is best, and we trust them. We ask, Father, that you would bless the Tarrant family. We know that there's grief and sorrow and loss, for when there's love and you lose someone, it hurts deeply. And there is no medicine from a doctor or pharmacist that can make this hurt go away, but the prayers and the express words of friends and family and of those who care does make a difference. Again, Lord, we are grateful for all that you have done, and as we pledge in a moment to this flag, we do so in unity of heart and spirit, recognizing one of our greatest acts of gratitude is where you've placed us and what you've provided us with in this country. And we pray this prayer in our Lord's name. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, position, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Sparks. Number 1, consider approval of agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Mayor Peterson, second by Commissioner Holt. Call roll, please.
Peterson?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Tran?
Aye.
O'Neill?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Number 2, consider approval of consent agenda. Anything to be pulled?
I'd like to pull I, please.
All right.
I'd like to pull G for a question, please.
Anything else? Motion to approve the balance.
So moved.
Motion by Vice Mayor Peterson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner O'Neill. Call roll, please.
Peterson?
Aye.
O'Neill?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Tran?
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, let's go in order. Let's do G first.
My question on G is on this 1/2 ton regular cab pickup for animal control. I'd like to know what the model of it is, please.
What the model of it?
Yes.
I'm not sure. Brian Woodall at the shop went ahead and got this bid through state bid process.
Okay.
Is it new?
It's brand new.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's what he was after.
Oh,
The other
I'm sorry.
question that I had on that, and there was this morning, I have to go to 38 here. State purchasing price, and it's with this Riverside Autoplex. It's government sales, right?
That's correct.
That's what it is, right?
Yes.
Well, I just wanted a clarification because I'm learning.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So with that, do you move we approve G?
Yes, I move that we approve G.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Holt,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Peterson. Call roll, please.
Holt,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Tran,
Aye.
O'Neill,
Aye.
Mills,
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. I.
Are you doing H?
I mean, no. You just said G, didn't you?
Okay.
G.
I know, I thought I have I. I is,
You have I.
I have
I is you.
I want to ask some questions about this. I know this is strictly an acknowledgement of a rate increase.
That's correct.
And we don't have anything to say on whether or not that happens. Yes, I pulled it because I saw Andy. in the
Andy, would
back.
you like to come on up?
Would you mind coming up, really? And I ask because even though this is a separate entity and this is not a city service, we do get a lot of questions about this, and citizens will call me about their cable and if their cable goes out and those kinds of things. And I know this isn't a service question, but I do want to clarify some things.
Okay.
You gave us a lot of paperwork in here about the procedure that you go through to determine what the rate increase will be.
Correct.
And it says that although you could have raised it more than what the number is in here, that you didn't.
Right.
What is that number that it could have been raised up to? I couldn't find it in here.
Okay, it's just above, it's the first row above what we're requesting, and it's actually, and just so that everybody knows, from when the city of Shawnee has regulated the rates, we've never charged that maximum amount that the FCC, this is just a formula that was provided to us in cities to basically help provide what rate should be based on number of channels, programming cost, all the factors. In '08, that calculated to be $29.56. We're asking for $28.95, which is a $2 rate increase, and we have not had a rate increase on this limited service since 2006, March of, I believe it was March or April of 2006. So it will be 2 years
That was my-
since we've had a rate filing or rate increase.
Okay. So although you are able to do this every year, you did not elect, or the numbers didn't show last year, but this year there'll be a $2 rate increase over what it is right now,
Yes, that's on the lowest level of service.
on the lowest level of service. Okay. The other thing that I want the other commissioners to know is this is over a 7% increase for a service that's provided for when the time comes that we have to evaluate what our service increases are and how some of that's done. I mean, we will hear about this when we evaluate our service increases, even though it's not.
No, it's
You know,
3.5
it's
per
totally
year,
separate.
which is probably below inflation. But because we didn't take one, you know,
This
we're
year
playing
it's
catch up
7%.
as well, it is higher than probably normal. That's correct.
Does the fact that the last negotiations that we had, and through that negotiations, Allegiance paid money to the city for an extra channel, is any of that figured in the extra cost and the reason that we have an increase this year?
Not at all.
Okay,
Zero
okay,
went into that.
Okay.
And we committed to that in that negotiation.
that's right. I just want to make sure that wasn't passed along in a
Nope.
bill. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Not in any form.
Actually, I think
Okay.
that's a good thing for you, because I think we have more viewers now with local news, local events that pertain to the city, services and so forth.
You know, the city's done, not only has the city stepped up and is providing the citizens that service, we've got local entities also providing additional programming through local sports. You know, that businesses have also viewed as a positive thing for the community, and so we also offer, you know, this level of service we're describing is, you know, has the community channel, It has some programming from Oklahoma Baptist University. It's got Shawnee CTV on it, and a lot of that all falls down into this level, as well as sometimes we get looked at as being higher than some adjoining communities, but none of those offer the same number of channels on this level. We're still probably one of the few systems that has 36 channels on their lowest level of service, and we're trying to make sure that we're still meeting everybody's needs that wants that happy medium between, just a broadcast service and, a full 75 channel cable lineup.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I've got a question.
Oh, okay.
These rate increases are across the board, or are they just for the cable, not for high-speed internet?
Now, this is strictly on the limited basic cable service.
Okay.
It's the very first tier. There are, I know that like the FCCP is going up next year by a penny. We can't control some of those increases. It's a pass-through item that's imposed by somebody other than us.
Well, in
This
fact,
is strictly our cost.
You do offer 2 tiers of high-speed internet, right?
Yeah, we actually offer 3 today, and we're looking at possibly 4 and maybe 5. Today, we offer a 384 slower speed beginnings, people that just want email and aren't just really doing a whole lot, but want something better than dial-up. That's that level. Then we offer a 3 meg service, which really takes care of probably 95% of internet users. We've recently introduced a gaming service, which is a 5 meg service for those people that are, doing a lot of uploading, downloading, more game-oriented, high-use people. And then we're also experimenting today, and I'm not going to commit to it, but we're looking at a 10 meg service.
I understand that
As
could
well.
be a reason for the slower high-speed connection because of the downloading for gaming and other sources.
No, we've got a huge fiber optic pipe between here and the city.
Well, I get
Not
calls
only with
complaining about the
Cox.
speed is what I'm getting.
We've recently made some other changes, but at my house, I know I'm not having issues, and so I can only refer to what I experienced personally. I'm not going to say that there aren't people that may have an issue, but it may be right there at the house. There's so many factors to what can cause that, whether you're going through, and I hate to use a service, but a Yahoo AOL type service. There's different filters that absolutely can restrict your downloads and uploads. So we have equipment though that we can come to your house and we can do all those tests and tell you, what may be the cause. A squirrel chew can cause your internet speed to slow down. There's just 1,000 factors, and they just need to call us so that we can, point blank come out to look at it. I'm not aware of any system-wide internet issues. We've made a ton of
I don't get a
changes
lot
just
of
trying to
calls, but I have
truly
several.
get that right.
And I get those about basic service
Yeah, they're
calls, and I know that within, and I'll be real honest, within my own office, we've had problems where we had to call whatever was concerning maybe the internet, and you can't get to anybody here in Shawnee. Or here in Shawnee, they're put on hold for extended periods of time, when the phone cuts off. So with this rate increase, we didn't see an increase in service for the people of Shawnee that subscribe to.
just from the reports I'm looking at, we don't have that issue. We have had. I will tell you that it has been an
Yeah, I
issue,
appreciate it.
especially with when we did the billing conversions. There's a lot of things that occurred in this year that turned us upside down. But within the past 60 to 90 days, we're at probably 95% of what it was before. And so, yes, I'm going to say the answer to your question.
Difference for the people of Shawnee that with this rate increase,
Right.
they're not going to see a decrease in service.
No.
In fact, service should be good now.
We've
They should
hired
call you
additional-
If they have a problem, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And they do.
And I will.
Do they call the local office here to have their high-speed internet connections troubleshoot or whatever you do to them?
You
No,
can make
I mean,
money.
you can't, it depends on what the issue is.
Yeah.
The initial
The issue
call,
is that high speed isn't high speed anymore.
well, I would,
No, I will tell
I
you
think
that
that's
when
an
you-
argument,
No,
but
I will tell you, when you call the local number, if you say it's an internet problem,
You're-
you're
we
given a
have,
toll-free number and
that's
you're sent
correct.
to some other country
No, that's wrong.
or somewhere else where there's a problem.
You're,
You're not giving anybody here in Shawnee that's close,
okay,
trust me.
I will agree with that statement to the point that our previous internet provider was out of Canada. We have since, in the past 60 days, changed that, and we are now getting our technical support through a company in Atlanta. And we have had absolutely no issues. I mean, I'll be honest, I was in Florida for bad reasons recently. My wife had an issue, so I can relate to this. And I was able to be online in Florida, look at our account in Tecumseh and Shawnee, and tell her exactly what was wrong. And it was in our computer and within the home, not within the modem. But I had all that information. And so the technical support feature is just a huge opportunity. But we're not at the level to provide that service here locally, and it is a better advantage to our customers to make sure that they're getting a qualified technical computer support person, and that's why we pay them for that service. But it has been recently changed within the past like 45 days, 60 days.
And I will say that it's very nice to me. I call that.
That's good.
But just so people know, rates are gonna go up, service is gonna stay the same or get better.
That's right. Yeah, thanks, Andy.
Okay, thank
Thanks
you.
for being here.
Okay.
Make a motion to acknowledge the annual rate justification filing from Allegiance Communications.
Second. Motion by Vice Mayor Peterson, second by Commissioner Holt. Call roll, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, number 3, citizens participation.
Must be doing a good job.
Give him a microphone.
I was gonna give you the codes and everything, but I'm talking about building codes right now. Now let's hold our citizens, inspect them the same way we inspect ourselves. We have a man from East Maine, most of you know his name. He's been given stringent codes he had to follow for his bathroom, for everything else. And the lady at the flower shop, they'd go in there and do in the house a perfect handicapped bathroom. I was in there tonight, got my britches leg wet. But there's not one accessible bathroom in this building. Why? I'm not the only one who's told you. I need at least 3. One thing, you're a hypocrite. Tomorrow, you go out and you inspect somebody's bathroom. Say you need your bathroom. I'm not talking 88. Building code is 1980. Everything is wrong. At a hospital, you get you do the city, you do it. Everybody does that. Hospital up there, there's a bad thing wrong. He doesn't listen. Come real quick. You go to the door. You open the door. You gotta have 18 inches here, or 24 inches. The door is 9. You put down 5 inches. Just be sick. Lawyer's office down. Law. John Brown. Their lawyer. Did their job. What they say? That's the law. They're inspecting. See, they're doing something.
else? Okay, number 4, city manager's presentations. Employee of the month to Detective Ethan Reeves with the police department.
Detective Reeves has been with the police department for 9 years. He was appointed to the detective division on April 16th of '07. His enthusiasm and attention to detail in the position of detective is exemplary. He was the first detective for the Shawnee Police Department to investigate a case involving the website MySpace and worked diligently researching information he needed to secure a subpoena for information on an account. Through the information obtained, Detective Reeves was able to solve his case, which included the safe apprehension of a runaway juvenile that was involved in a prostitution ring in Oklahoma City. And through Detective Reeves' efforts, Oklahoma City was able to make several arrests in relation to that ring. The effort that Detective Reeves puts forward on his cases puts a positive light on the Shawnee Police Department and the city of Shawnee, and his actions are commendable. So it's a great privilege for me to present this to you. You want to say anything? Or? Okay.
And we have recognition of Dale Wigginton for 25 years of service with the city of Shawnee.
Good evening. It's going to be my pleasure tonight to be able to hand out a nice congratulations for years of service. So, does your family, anybody else want to come up with you? No? Well, I'm going to talk about him. He wants to get out of here, I know, really, really quick, so he's already wanting to shake my hand. The Oklahoma Municipal League likes to recognize employees that work for municipalities, especially City of Shawnee, for their 25 years plus service, so that's what I'm doing here tonight. I'm Kelly Howard. I'm the Personnel Director for the City of Shawnee. This is Dale Wigington. He's been with us almost 26 years, actually. It's almost been. So tonight, I'm going to give him a certificate and a pin offered to him by the Oklahoma Municipal League and then also the City of Shawnee. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dale. Appreciate what you do. Number 5, presentation by Bill Ford, Mike Hingle, and Mike McCormick on priorities related to citywide issues developed through community meetings and surveys conducted in connection with those meetings. Gentlemen? Gentleman.
Thank you all very much for our time before you tonight. And we just had an awful lot of fun doing this, and I hope you'll bear with us just a minute. I've provided each one of you with a little copy of my script, and I think they'll also do the same. And but if you'll bear with us for just a moment, I'll try to make it pretty brief. Pardon me. In February of this year, in anticipation of our state's 100th anniversary, we thought it would be a fun project to get a diverse group of Shawnee citizens together to find out how they feel about Shawnee and give their thoughts and directions on some of the projects that would help improve our city for years to come. The group was not put together with any scientific process, but only with diversity and an interest in Shawnee as a criteria for participation. During the summer months, we conducted community-wide meetings, and overall the results made us feel very proud about who we are, the status of our community, and the direction that the consensus of those in attendance felt we should be going. We began both sessions with a thought process of why do we like living in Shawnee and what are our strengths. The diverse, friendly, and energetic citizens always come to the top as the #1 strength of our community. Then we began to list all those assets and groups that bind us all together. You can appreciate the list gets pretty long when you start with St. Gregory University, Oklahoma Baptist University, Gordon Cooper Votech School, and the Shawnee Public School System, as well as the dependent schools. All of these institutions have made many, many improvements in the last 10 years, and especially the Shawnee school system with the historical passage of the multi-million-dollar bond issue that gives us much improvements in early childhood development, Shawnee Middle School, and the new performing arts and auditorium at the high school. The groups all felt it was very important to continue to support and strengthen these institutions, as they are the primary reason that a family wants to locate in Shawnee. Coupled closely with these institutions are our YMCA with its new facility being constructed, our other United Way agencies that we support aggressively, especially this time of year, as well as our outstanding churches. The next item that was high on the list are the job opportunities with diverse industries surrounding Shawnee with a strong economic base. It was so interesting to see how support for these industries was directly related to schools and the quality of life afforded its citizens. As our industries are continuing to recruit managers and production employees, it is important that Shawnee presents itself as the place to live. Recreation facilities were also high on the list, and a wide variety of opportunities is necessary not only for organized sport groups, but also for casual recreation, such as casual basketball games that you see out on Pasodum and Main Street in these pocket parks, as well as facilities for picnics and walking sidewalks. The City Commission needs to be congratulated for its support in revamping the municipal swimming pool. This historical landmark in Woodland Veterans Park is a great opportunity for young people to learn to swim that they otherwise would not have this opportunity. Shawnee is very fortunate to have wonderful medical facilities with very competent doctors and dentists. As you can see, the list continues, but it is basically the combination of all of the above working together that creates a wonderful atmosphere. At this time, I'd like to call on Mike Hingle, and I apologize, I spelled his name wrong, for the next part of our presentation, and he will talk about the priorities the group feels that the City Commission needs to look at as we move forward. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bill, Commissioners, and Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity to address you this evening. Before we wrote the report for the centennial issue that many of you may have seen, we ran surveys on both the paper and on our online site and asked citizens to prioritize the 9 categories most identified in the community-wide meetings. We tabulated those results and took the information as we reported in the centennial issue. Water and infrastructure being roads, bridges, streets, water and sewer lines, and education clearly are the top 3 issues, with water and infrastructure really being the top 2 without question. We realized that a lot of work has been done and continues to be done on the water issue, and we encourage the Commission to clearly and frequently communicate the progress that's being made. The same holds true with roads, streets, bridges, water and sewer lines, parks, and other facilities. Folks are curious what the city's plan is about these issues and how it is being communicated. Concerning education, probably the top priority identified is the independent versus dependent issue, where funding inequities exist from the time the student leaves the 8th grade until heading off to high school. The ad valorem tax dollars do not follow the student, and it costs more to educate high school students who need more facilities than students in younger age groups. We encourage folks, community leaders, to become involved. We hope you would consider appointing committees with perhaps 5 or 6 or whatever to address some of these issues identified through the meetings and prioritized through the group of surveys. As promised during the Chamber Planning Retreat, we also would be happy to provide a list of citizens who we think would be interested in participating and willing to serve on such committees. We hope the City Manager and Commission will provide regular reports on the progress that these committees make in the future as they address issues and help seek solutions. We believe people are willing to serve if asked, and will be more than happy to come up with good solutions to the challenges that Shawnee faces as the state begins its 2nd century of statehood. Thank you very much.
Yep. One mic's enough, huh? Okay. Okay. And As I told you at the chamber retreat, I appreciate this list. And anybody that would like to be more involved in the community, I have welcomed from day one. Trying to add up the other day, I think I'm somewhere around 70 new people involved in committees and boards and commissions, and it's exciting to see people, especially people that haven't been involved before, take a hold of this. And I appreciate this list. Some of these are some of the same volunteers we see doing things over and over again, and we're fortunate to have not worn them out to date. But I would make this appeal to anyone in the audience and anyone that's listening to step up here, contact us, and let us know what you might be interested in, whether it be helping us with our infrastructure, educational issues, and water. Water is going to be huge for us, so pay attention to that. So we appreciate the work you guys have done. It takes dedicated individuals to volunteer their time to care about our community, and you're to be commended for the work you've done and for hosting these meetings and preparing this report. So appreciate it, and this won't be shelved, I promise.
And I don't know who of the three to address this to, so whoever would like to just speak up. This is the result of some meetings you had where you invited, 50 people or something? Is that what I heard? Is that what these names are right here?
There was approximately 75 people who attended those meetings, one in May and one in June.
Okay.
And I think that the names on there include some of those people, but not necessarily all of them.
Okay. And throughout the year, I mean, y'all had more than one or two meetings, I assume.
No, we had two meetings.
Two meetings?
Right.
Okay, to come up with this list and with concerns or priorities, I guess.
Yes, we came up with a list. First of all, wanted to come up with a list of the things that folks really liked about the city and thought were positives. And then we also wanted to come up with a list of things that folks felt like needed to be addressed. Not that they weren't being addressed, but that certainly needed to be addressed or improved. And from that, we kind of categorized those based on the things that were repeated over and over again. For example, infrastructure, road improvements to roads, bridges, and so it came up repeatedly by lots of people. And that's what that reflects.
And at this point, you're asking that the commission spearhead the continuation of these meetings, basically.
Yes, in a way, we want to make sure that the commission knows that what the feeling of this group was in terms of the kinds of issues that they felt like were important, and to continue and maybe getting even more input specifically from residents as to how these issues can be addressed and resolved.
And are you making the same kind of presentation to the county commissioners and the school boards in town?
That is a possibility.
Okay. Because I don't see, well, there may be some crossover on some of them, or people who have served on those boards, but the list, while heavily skewed on things that the city is responsible for, is not strictly just...
That's right, and education being...
Education is huge. I mean, it's one of the first things that you mentioned here. So I didn't know if the groups talked about how to combine efforts or how to discuss these things and where we go from here.
Okay, I'm not sure. We're presenting this to you in hopes that you will continue and appoint some groups to help get even more info on how to solve these things.
Okay.
I noticed...
With the plea we have to make to the citizens of Shawnee, it's very simple to put your name on a list and go to a couple of meetings. But I think something very indicative about our community is that we recently had a water meeting, and there were very few people that truly attended that meeting and asked questions. And of course, Linda Agee and her spouse were here, and Mike you were here, but there was really a small group of people. So it's very easy, I think, for people to say, hey, we're going to tell you what we want you to do and create these committees, but if people really don't step out there and truly volunteer and truly participate and come to meetings and be involved, it's hard for us to create these committees if the committees aren't going to do anything. So I guess my plea is to these people that put their names on the list, I hope they're going to be serious about it if we go forward with establishing a committee. Because I think we've done a lot on our part about educating the people of Shawnee, and this is kind of critical of us saying, hey, you're not telling us what's going on, when in reality we're trying to tell people. And if you're not sitting out there and you're not asking questions, you're not becoming involved. And I think it's just really important. Don't just say you'll be involved, truly step out there and get involved, ask the questions, be responsive.
And hence my question about, did anything come out in these meetings that you had about better ways to communicate or better ways to coordinate the governing bodies that truly have responsibilities?
No, there was nothing specific that came out that said, this is how we ought to do it, and this is the way you ought to communicate. But it was the overall tone that I picked up on from the meeting that people were willing to do. And we're aware of the fact that there is a lot being done, and they just, I think that they want to know more about precisely what is being done when it comes to some of these issues. And I think there probably can be some steps taken to communicate that better.
This moment right now, what we all need to do. But I believe that one of the things we need to do is, first of all, remember the telephone works two ways. And I believe that these two meetings were very, very important. I think it was more like a health checkup when we went to the doctor. Says here we have high blood pressure. Maybe not so, but we do understand we do have problems here.
Yeah.
But what we encourage people to do is to call one of the 7 of us, get involved in what we're doing. I had a meeting the other night with a group from my ward. They called, we arranged a time to meet, we met with them, within 24 hours they had an answer. And a lot quicker than that. But they were persistent in contacting us. And so we're able to do that. But when people do not call, we cannot help out by no means whatsoever. We have many committees that through the city here, throughout the city, and we need more input from. And many people who are watching right now, a lot of people who are surprised that they're watching. I'm glad you are watching. However, we ask you to get involved. And so,
I think
let
that's
our
good
phones
advice.
ring and we can get things, we can work together. And it's not like so much pressure.
Yeah, you can't have too many people involved.
One more question. Was the surge document mentioned at all during any of these presentations? That is something that a lot of people remember, and it's definitely something to take up. And, it was right.
because this is a community effort. Everybody is involved. Yeah? And when this code citizen comes up, we got coming down the pipe. This is going to be advertised in most media. Make your way down here because this was the most important thing you got.
It was a big was a major part of our discussion concerning water mentioned. Now, you have before you the resolution of intent to participate current in the Oklahoma Water Utilities Trust. I handed out the letters of support that I would like to go ahead and read to the record. The first one is from the Shawnee Chamber of Commerce, addressed to me. The Greater Shawnee Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors unanimously support the approval of the resolution of intent to participate in the Oklahoma Regional Water Utilities Trust. The community agrees with thinking to its efforts to provide our city with an alternative water source. The second letter, again, for the record, is from the Shawnee Economic Development. That was the first Chamber of Commerce Board. The second one is from the Shawnee Economic Development Foundation. The Shawnee Economic Development Foundation endorses and supports the city of Shawnee's participation in the Central Oklahoma Water Consortium, which is the trust. Knowing that water is our most precious resource that we must preserve and conserve, we commend the city's mission and staff for their diligence in seeking additional long-term water supplies for our community. We fully support and encourage the Commission to approve the resolution before you Monday night, which is a major step in helping to ensure adequate and sufficient water for our region. Certainly appreciate the level of support. I'm also representative Don
C3 Automotive, Commercial, and Recreation.
Yes, this property is located at actually 8 East MacArthur and 12 East MacArthur. It's a property that's made up of several pieces that are put together. The application is for changing it to C3, Automotive Commercial and Recreation District from the R1 Residential District. As you can see on the map, in the pink area, it is currently vacant mostly, except at the very southern corner, you can see 2 single-family homes. To the west of there, you also see 1 more single-family home, and to the east, you see a bank, residential to the north and northeast, and then some other office uses all around it. Here you can see the zoning in the area. C3 to the east, R3 further from that, with some apartments and some vacant property still zoned R3 for multifamily. A lot of commercial office uses up and down the area. The comprehensive plan does show and acknowledge this corridor to be a commercial / high-intensity residential corridor. As you see with the kind of ochre mustard color, that is a commercial use. The star is the location of the site. The corridor goes all along here. The blue, the public, I believe that's at the school that's located at that location. Technical issues is the plan does recommend that the residential areas be protected and buffered from more high-intensity uses that might come along the major corridors like this. Suggests that low-intensity office and professional uses are appropriate transitions from the higher-intensity uses then toward into the residential uses. The proposed use at this site from the applicants is they're planning to put a doctor's office there. However, we do know that with a C3 zoning, there's a lot more other uses that could be put on this site other than doctors, so you have to consider the whole gamut of ideas that might go there. A professional office, such as a doctor's office, is an appropriate transition use in and of itself. There are sidewalks along MacArthur. Should any portion of those sidewalks not be good code, they would be improved when there's building permits or anything along this area. And another issue that the applicant is aware of is the single-family homes that are located on this site. C3 does not allow single-family residential, so those homes cannot be occupied as single-family residential if this property has been rezoned to any of the higher commercial uses. And also, the property has actually been put together by several pieces into one warranty deed, and if they come at a later time wanting to now break those apart, that we would look for them to divide those according to our subdivision regulations. They cannot go back and then undivide them once they put them all together at that location. Some of the issues, the staff recommendations is that we recognize that the C3 is a partial in conformance with the comp plan, the future land use map, in that it is a commercial corridor and it does front upon a commercial corridor street. However, we have a concern that there is a neighborhood to the north, and the C3 is not an appropriate zoning district to butt, and the uses in C3 are not necessarily appropriate for that area unless it is in a planning development or there's some other appropriate buffers that might protect those residential neighborhoods. And so what we had suggested, and the Planning Commission had concurred in this recommendation, is that we allow the C3 to take place at the south half of the site and allow C1 toward the north, which would allow a transition or a buffer area between the commercial and the south. As you can see here to the east, the C3 on the bank goes all the way up to the northern location. Let's see if I can get this to work here. Maybe not. But you can see that the red line of the bank is right in line with that northern pink line, but if you go west, the C3 on that small site lines up with the small pink lot. It's basically almost half and half. So we suggested that they break the line right where that C3 is to the west. And I think that the applicant agreed to this at the Planning Commission meeting, didn't have an objection to it, and the Planning Commission recommended that this break. I think the applicant, if they're here, they might want to address this, but this is the recommendation that staff made, and the Planning Commission has also made this to you.
Will anyone wish to speak against? Anyone for? I know we have the applicant here. You want to come up and maybe tell us what you're thinking you might want to do, other than probably get your office closer to the hospital, or? That way, if there's any questions, you'll be right here handy.
Yeah, I think I understand that zoning pretty clear. And basically, the C1 was asked for because that's where I plan on putting my medical office. C3, I do. Some of the neighbors around there have already approached me and asked me about it, and I don't plan on ruining my office. So that's kind of where. Well, I think the C3 was set up based on what she had told you, that there's C3 all around it.
Okay, wait just a minute. I have a question. Back up.
Okay.
Yeah. Come back.
Stay handy.
So those are homes right now
Yes, there are two homes
on the north side. How quickly?
on the south side.
South side.
I mean, on the south side. And so how, once it's C3, those people are going to be leaving.
Those are rental houses, as I know, and that there is nobody occupying the one to the east. That the lady had passed away. Yeah.
It was my understanding what you said, that once it's rezoned, they cannot be occupied residences. Is that correct? So those are no longer rental houses.
That's what I've understood. Of course, there's a C3 already there that is
They are vacant.
not vacant.
Okay. I mean, my concern is just these people going, whoa, wait a minute, nobody told me to move. And that you weren't aware of that, so. And so what are you going to do with those houses?
Say goodbye to them.
Sell
Well,
it.
no, I mean, it's the plan, I mean, are you going to tear them down? Are they going to sit there and fall down on MacArthur Street?
Great question. Basically, I've already have someone that's ready to move them. I've already sold both homes, so
Okay.
they're ready to move them as soon as.
So your plan will be to develop the southern half of that property into high-intensity C3 commercial business?
Right now, I really don't have a plan for the
Well,
C3. I respect that, but I'm an orthopedic surgeon, and I really like this property for the fact that it is on MacArthur, but the C1 allows me to put the older population, which I serve, into a lower Bell Street, I think is the street that runs by it, so it allows me to actually have access, have a sign on MacArthur, but for the older population, they don't need to be turning onto MacArthur.
So is there any reason that you requested C3 for any of it, why C1 wouldn't do for what your purposes are?
The gentleman that owns the property just west of me, he was talking about doing some commercial development, and it would better serve me to have it C3 in case, the problem is it's only like a medical office. It doesn't include any ancillary medical services. And so C3 would allow, if we did want to put any medical services and expand to it, we'd have to have the C3 zoning anyway. I mean, that's basically what I'm looking at.
Now, let's, just real quick, because we've had a lot of discussions about signs. Dr. Collard, with his office being on C1, and he just talked about wanting a sign on MacArthur Street, which is going to be C3, once he develops C3, will that not be considered off-site advertising and his sign can't be on that lot?
That's my understanding of the way the code's written right now. Nancy, could you give an opinion?
It would depend upon a whole lot how it's developed. If it's developed as a commercial center, where just the uses in the back are office and the uses in the front are pharmacy, or it's a sign that is advertising a center.
But that would require same ownership on both properties,
Right. If they sold the property off, you would be correct, but if you kept control of the whole property.
Trying to protect you here.
Appreciate it. I understand that question completely.
If you sell C3, your sign's not going to be on MacArthur Street anymore.
Zoning does
You're on
not
Bell Street.
zoning does not necessarily imply ownership. It just implies land use.
Yes.
If you own the whole
The
property.
sign ordinance that we have currently in place, if it's off-site advertising, and I'm just making sure that we're not going to jump out and say, hey, it's zoned differently, and guess what? Your sign can't go on a differently zoned parcel of land.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I have to admit, I don't No, we'd have to
Okay.
look at that.
And that was my
Yes.
question about how, what's going to...
How are we gonna
What are they
develop
going to be
it?
used for? What are your overall plans? If you personally plan on being in the C1 box, but you might sell off C3, other things start to happen. If you purchase the C3 to the west, and that's a industrial, oh, not industrial, a commercial development, then those kinds of things are okay. But, and that's why I'm trying to understand maybe what the plan is
If you
here.
put an oil change place
Yeah.
on C3, you're not putting
hope
your
not.
office sign out there. I can guarantee you that, because the city's gonna tell you you can't do it.
But a lot
They'll
of
come up with a reason, but they're gonna tell you you can't do
Is the
it.
C1 just in the north side? There's no little leg coming down there where that pink line is, separates? Where's
no,
the
it's
C3?
148 feet to the south and 156 some odd feet to the north.
Because it looks
It's
weird
half
like
and
that.
half.
It looks like you've got a solid line in the middle of those.
That was how the property used to be cut up, property
Oh.
ownership wise, that's why that line's there. But, you know, if it's developed as one ownership and the zoning is just happens to allow different uses, I'd have to look the sign orders to see exactly, but if he sells property, that's a different deal. But the zoning only applies land use, it doesn't apply ownership. So you have to remember that.
And the sign ordinance doesn't
And
care,
have to read the sign ordinance to see exactly
because it
what
talks
says.
about off-site advertising.
But
Off-site.
off-site, the question is, does off-site mean off-site ownership or off-site zoning district?
We're
Off-site
interpreting it as, if your business is on this piece of land, it doesn't matter if you own the piece of land down the street, that's off-site. And so that's what we have to be scared of, is even if you own the property at the front on MacArthur, that might be off-site if that's not developed as an entire parcel of land.
Let's see, if it's developed as an entire parcel of land as a
And you have
unified
like a big
piece.
sign out there listing everybody, but at the point that the use is different, it's probably going to be considered off-site advertising, even if you own that piece of property. Because we have business people here in Shawnee who own pieces of property across Shawnee that cannot advertise their businesses.
Now, they can't advertise on a piece of property that's down the street or down the block. We're
Okay,
talking about a
but
piece of
that's-
property that's contiguous, one ownership.
That's not the way we're interpreting it.
And I said, I have to read the
Yeah,
ordinance because I
and that's
have
the
not
way-
read it. I will have to look.
Sign wars, look for them again in the near future.
Well, I'm just, I just want to make sure.
No, you're
you
protecting
don't-
me. I
I
know
want
what you're
you to
We're right there,
blindsided
real
because
fast.
that's a lot of money to invest, and it's a lot of money in your profession and your business for us to turn around and go, well, you know what, you can't advertise on MacArthur Street, you gotta go way down in that neighborhood. And then your old people can't find you.
That's right.
So I'm,
Just tell me
yeah.
behind the bank. You'll find me.
I mean, at that
We're
point,
right
do we
there, I
really
know.
want to have C3 in the front or C1 to ensure that you always develop it within your zone? I don't know.
Or put your business at the bottom where it says C1 and have can access from Vail instead of MacArthur.
How far are you from actually sitting down with pen on paper and designing a plan?
Well, I was going to actually meet with the gentleman to the west and actually design the whole complex.
So between now and then, we can look at the sign ordinance and look at the issues of
Right.
how it's interpreted. It could also always come back as a PUD and these issues would go away because we could control
Right.
what happens, how it
Then it's going
happens.
to cost this gentleman more money.
That
that's my
sometimes happens.
Right. So, I mean, it's just not so easy to say, oh, well, we can do it later. You know what, this costs money.
And honestly, we don't normally get into everything
Right.
quite this kind of detail, but it does pose some issues that are coming right down the line right after this decision tonight. And so I don't want to make sure that we make one decision thinking that we can do something with that and we can't.
Well, we'll review the ordinances and check and
Well, will you sell it
Okay.
to me for residential price and then I'll...
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Because,
I understand that this area is going commercial, and I think our decision is at what level, and then what are the plans for how it's developed, so that you can develop that property that's on the north side also. And I don't have the
You know,
answers.
staff looks at this, we're very pro-development, we just want to manage it properly. Absolutely.
Yes,
How many acres is that?
yes.
You know?
Yeah, it's, what did it work out to?
I can't remember.
1 1/3?
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes.
I was going to guess 2, but.
That's what I was going to say, too. What, would it put a delay on you to bring this back at our next meeting? To sit down and look at what the options are and how you want to lay out your business and talk with the adjacent landowner if that's appropriate?
Would it affect you, I guess, is
Well,
if
it's
you
not
waited
gonna,
2
it's not
weeks
gonna.
to affect you any?
It's not gonna affect me because, I mean, I don't plan on starting development tomorrow on the situation, so, no, it's not gonna affect me.
I mean, I guess our concern is that we don't want to make a decision that ties your hands, and then you come back to us later and we say, well, we can't do anything to help you, and...
Or you have to start all over
And if
again.
we don't make a decision, if we defer it, and the recommendation from staff or something comes back that after we've looked at the layout and how we do it, it needs to be a PUD, or it needs to be C1 all the way through, and, I mean, we can work with that if we don't decide something right now that you have to go back and change. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So it's
And
kind of
the
like-
gentleman that owns the other C3, he's looking at professional buildings also. I mean, I've spoken with him about that, and he's looking at utilizing that whole corridor as professional.
And I'm not opposed to it going from
Yeah.
residential to some kind of commercial. I mean, I'm not, I just want to do it right.
And that area needs to.
Yes.
I mean, I think we're all realistic.
Yes.
That area needs to.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be.
And see, there's some uses that
residential.
they may need there because a pharmacy, for example, needs a C3. So
Yes.
that was part of the problem. Was our uses are kind of set, and so.
Well,
So you want to defer it?
I don't know, I don't want to if that's going to pose a problem, but I don't want to make a
Put a problem
decision
with
that
you.
then we have to
Well,
go back and
It
change.
might tie your hands later.
It's gonna pose a problem. It's contingent on this
Okay, Carrie,
rezoning.
what's the problem?
Got closing,
Closing.
closing date.
Well, I guess then the whole point then would be, you have to do this with your eyes wide open in that your hands may be tied later concerning the development of the C3 property.
But those issues can be addressed, and a lot of issues can be worked out. It may make another rezoning application, but
Right,
that's,
but I'm just saying, your hands.
that sometimes
may
is the cost
tie.
of proper development.
Well, my contract states clearly that it's on a contingency, and, I mean, I don't worry about this from a legal standpoint because I have a real estate contract in place, and it's contingent on that, and they know that it's contingent on that. And so, I mean, if you're telling me that I have to sign this piece of paper tonight to do something, well, I'm telling you that, you know, this needs to be worked out before, because this is totally based on me buying at a commercial price, and if they back out on the deal, then I guess we'll have to deal with that. I mean, that's all I can say is it's really not going to push me whether it's waited a month, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it takes.
John, do you want to tell us if there's another alternative?
When you notice, go ahead and vote on it tonight, and then bring it for reconsideration in 2 weeks if there's information you want.
One of us could do that, could put it back on to reconsider. We don't normally do that for zoning, but we could, couldn't we? I know.
Yeah, I was going to say. I
Because
don't
usually
think-
development continues
Yeah.
after we make a decision.
Is it possible you could defer your discussion for 20 minutes at the end of the docket or something, and let us go and look at the sign ordinance for a few minutes and see what we can see?
I assume we could do that.
Yeah, but boy, I'll tell you what, when it comes to the sign ordinance, we may be opening things wide open based upon a cursory review of the ordinance. But hey, whatever, let's do it.
Okay.
I want to be user-friendly in Shawnee,
Sure.
especially when it comes to
Sure.
the sign ordinance. My whole point was to make sure that his hands weren't
Yeah.
tied later. With someone over in the annex saying, that's off-site advertising, you can't do it anymore. So,
But, yeah, and I understand you're saying, but I'm going to read the ordinance to tell you that.
Yeah. Okay.
Would you like?
I would
Is that-
move to
okay.
defer this until you have an opportunity to look at the sign ordinance and you have an opportunity to feel comfortable with us proceeding with the vote. And come back and explain to us.
In a few minutes. I mean, we're not talking,
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about. Okay.
End of the
Okay.
meeting,
Yeah,
in
just
other
at
words.
the end of the meeting or at some point when you all are comfortable.
In other words, Nancy, you're going to do the next two hearings and then review the sign ordinance and come back to us later in the meeting?
Well, no, we're going to go talk about it right now.
Well, can we do these
No.
other, we need to do
really need to
8
get-
and 9.
Yeah, we need to let everybody else go.
Well, I mean,
Right.
you guys go ahead and we're going to go do this.
You're not
we have-
doing staff
the next
recommendation on
item,
8
you
and
may
9?
be on the agenda here.
Yeah, you're next.
Oh, okay, you're right, I have
Right.
one more, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
We have a motion to defer by Commissioner Shawnee,
Second.
a second by Vice Mayor Peterson. We can do that, right? Don't need a motion?
If you stay in the same meeting, you can make what you want.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So we don't need a vote? We'll just defer it?
Well, then,
We'll
good.
just- Okay.
Just pick it
We'll
up
open up
later
another
on.
public hearing.
Let's do 8
Juggle
concerning
three up here at
fans.
once.
Just recess the one you're in.
Recess? Okay.
Recess it to say later this meeting.
Okay, so I'll declare a recess
On
the
this
public
hearing.
hearing.
on this public hearing.
This public.
Yeah.
That's right.
So nobody gets to leave.
Now, let's
in
go to
the-
the
No.
next public
Yeah.
hearing.
That's right. Moving right along. We do some weird stuff. Okay, number 8, public hearing and consider an ordinance for a conditional use permit to allow for the sale of beer and alcohol for on-premise consumption for property located at 717 East Highland. Applicant Jeff Vandergrift, also operating as Van's Pig Stand and Charcoal Room. Declare that public hearing open. Staff report.
Yes, as you mentioned, this is the site of an existing restaurant called Van's, and I think it's also a smoking,
It's called the charcoal room.
the charcoal
Room.
room, that was it, the charcoal
Van's
room,
Pig
one
Stand and
time.
Charcoal Room.
It's located on the south side of Highland, about a block and a half or so west of Harrison. The site is a restaurant, and at one time, I think it was about 1986, they had a alcohol and a beer license. And at one point, the alcohol license was, they let it lapse several years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, but it continued with the beer license. And as we looked at our codes, the codes have changed in the city since that time, and they do not have what we would say a current allowance for either one, although they can continue the beer because they've been doing it all along with no change. But we thought if we went ahead and put both of them in the application and brought both of them into the codes as we currently have, that would probably maybe help when they go to the other licensing issues they have to deal with as they get their license up in order. And I think they've been getting that done. The strip through this area is C3. It's a very high intensity corridor of land uses. The land use plan also shows a commercial residential high intensity corridor. You see a little star still in that little ochre color as it goes to the west. The concern again also is a screening and buffering from the neighborhood. There is a parking lot to the south, and they do have the fencing that's required by ordinance for that. It's a small site, but the Vans has been there quite some time. The alcohol expired in 2004. The beer was continued on site. It seems to meet the codes and is in compliance with our comp plan, and so we have recommended approval of that, and the Planning Commission recommended approval also for both the beer and alcohol on-site sales, on-site consumption sales.
Okay. Anyone wish to speak against? We have the applicant here, I know. Anyone for? Is this how many times the charcoal room opens? Is this the third time? Isn't it? Third? Yeah, me too. Okay. Thank you very much for opening again, by the way. Look forward to getting down there. It's been up for 2 weeks.
I was down there last week. Food was wonderful.
Excellent.
Service was great. Thank you. Shawnee needed that back.
Great.
Probably
Okay.
got to make sure you get a drink there.
I will close the public hearing. Comments, questions, other than the food's really good?
There's an additional recommendation by staff that the owner be required to establish a site-proof screening as required by the current Shawnee zoning code as a condition of the permit to reduce any impact on the abutting residential property.
We want to make sure it's maintained. There was an area to the southwest that did not have some side roof screening, but our codes say that if there's an alley there, then that exempts that. And I think that we did check that there was an actual alley there, all you would look and you wouldn't realize that. So that may be a
Okay.
question.
So,
But there's a lot of bushes and trees there, so it kind of does provide a
okay,
sight
so what is
breeze in a
there
way.
is really appropriate for that and for this
It does meet our
conditional
codes
use
if it's-
also.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
that would have been my next question, what else they would have had to do. Okay.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion. No other questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Stevens.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Strand. Read the title, please.
An ordinance concerning zone classification of following expired properties located in the corporate limits of the city of Shawnee, Colorado, County, Oklahoma, with lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, Block 2 subdivision, Block A, Weird Tradition, the city of Shawnee, Colorado, County, and the recorded plat thereof. Zoning said properties from C3 Automotive and Commercial Recreation District to C3D Automotive and Commercial Recreation District with conditional use permit to allow for the sale of beer and alcohol for on-premise consumption, amending the official zoning map of the city of Shawnee accordingly.
Call roll, please.
Stevens?
Aye.
Tran?
Aye.
O'Neill?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Young?
Nay.
Peterson?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, do we want to go to the next public hearing? Nancy?
Got another one?
It was deferred.
That one was deferred.
This number 9 is deferred?
The Planning Commission deferred it. I'm sorry, I'm not sure why we sent it on here, but I apologize for that.
Okay.
It was deferred by the Planning Commission to the December meeting.
Because it's listed on the public hearings as being
Okay,
open,
so it
so
had
we
to be
have
on,
to have a
okay.
motion
One of
to
the-
defer
One
it.
of the few things that I didn't realize.
Yes. Yes.
I know. There were some issues relative to pre-existing conditions and land uses that we needed the landowner to deal with first before the
Okay.
Planning Commission really could hear it properly.
Very good.
Okay. Motion to defer?
So moved.
Motion by Vice Mayor Peterson.
Second.
In stereo. Wow. Second, I think, by Commissioner Holt.
Speakers have turned up.
He's really close.
Guess I'll get back.
He's about 4 to 6 inches away. Call roll, please.
Peterson?
Aye.
Oh, specific date. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. That's right.
The Planning Commission deferred it to the December meeting, so I guess there was a
It has to
Second
be,
meeting.
it has to be our second meeting in
Second.
December.
Okay.
Right.
That would be
I'll-
17th?
Amend my motion accordingly.
Okay. Call roll, please.
Peterson?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Tran? O'Neill?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Nice catch, John. Thank you. Okay. Are you guys going to go out and wrestle or over that? Okay. Number 10, presentation by Kevin Mining, sorry, with HACH Company regarding chloramines.
Back when we started chloramines, it was decided to move slow, educate. And we have put things in the water bills. We've held a meeting with the large water users. We've answered questions. This is going to be a presentation by, I call him Kevin, the chloramine man. He's really up on this, and I just want to say, like before, if anybody has any questions, call us. Don't, there's no conspiracy or anything. You can call 273-1960, that's Darlene. You can call 878-1662, that's Greg, and they can find us. My direct number is 878-1513. I don't have all the answers, but I can sure find them. 273-0890 is the water plant. They're up on things. 878-1723 is the deputy director, Randy Brock. If you got problems, if you got questions, if you feel uneasy, there's no stupid questions. Give us a call. we'll help you all we can.
Jim, let's have Tony post those on Channel 30.
Right.
And you do? Presentation running on 30? Okay. Jim, before we start with this, the technical, I've looked at this impressive report. Would you just give us in a nutshell, because we really haven't had this discussion, I mean, we all have, but we haven't communicated it well to the public, of why are we going to chloramines and what is the effect on the public?
Okay, you got more than the presentation's going to be.
Oh, okay.
But in a nutshell, and Kevin's better at this than I am, but in a nutshell, chloramines, the reason we're going to chloramines is to try to get our numbers down THM-wise that way, HA5.
And previously, DEQ did not recommend chloramines, or they didn't, I don't want to say they didn't agree with municipalities using chloramines, but they really discouraged the use of chloramines.
DEQ doesn't agree with anything the first time. And
Thank you for allowing me to softball.
so basically, and I'll let Kevin tell you more about it, but basically what it does is we're trying to reduce our numbers, and chloramines is chlorine and ammonia at a certain mixture. The ammonia gives the chlorine something to, I guess it ties up the chlorine where it can't react to the organics like it is without the ammonia, which forms, when it reacts with chlorine, it forms THMs, which we do not want. So when we get going with chloramines, which we're hoping, we're 99.9% ready. We just got 2 vents to put in. We'll be ready, then DEQ will inspect it, and hopefully sometime around the first of the year, we'll have it online. We'll have to order chemicals and stuff. But it should drastically lower the numbers because it doesn't let the chlorine react with the organics, and then we have some other stuff. If we have an algae bloom like the West Watkins taste fiasco, what causes that is not the algae growing and blooming, but dying. Then when it dies, the cell ruptures, it releases this stuff, and it tastes like dirt. And that was the taste that everybody was getting.
Oh yeah.
So even if we have that happen again, we have a chemical that we can add that will kill the algae, but it won't let the cell wall break. So the algae will just go through the plant, the cell wall will stay together, and that dirt tasting stuff that comes out won't be there.
Okay.
But, and now all that,
I wanted your take on it, wanted your impression on it, because you're going to be here. Kevin's going to come, Kevin's going to go. But you're going to be here. You're the one going to make this work. You're the one to be accountable, along with us, as to what it looks like and what it tastes like. And I want your impression of this in layman terms, which you've done a pretty good job of doing.
I think it's going to work. I think it's a good system. I mean, and Kevin can tell you a lot of the awards that the AWWA and stuff does awards, tapping contests, best taste in water. Well, the best taste in water has been chlorinated water. So,
okay.
So we got, big plans. I can't say there's not going to be a bump in the road or a hitch, and I'm not going to stand up here and promise to the moon, but we're going to go slow. We're going to do it right. We're going to take our time. If we got a problem, we're going to get people in to help us. And I think it's going to work. Everybody I've talked to thinks it's going to work. People that used to work at DEQ, which there is thousands of them, that start their own consulting business who's used to, the guy that came down that used to inspect these chloramine things is helping us. And he thinks it's going to work. He thinks we're in good shape except for these 2 vents that we have to put in. And
And another long-term goal is to be able to use more West Watkins water with this process.
right, because when the numbers go down,
Right.
then they'll go down everywhere.
Okay.
And time of year, temperature, algae, all that take that effect. We've been using West Watkins water for a little while, and it's
All right. Just, Jim, is it a fair assessment to say chloramine use has been used for a number of years by a number
yeah,
of cities,
Kevin, we'll get to
particularly
that too. It's
in other states?
it's not a new. It's a Model A. I mean, it's not.
This technology has been, this approach has been around for a long time.
Yeah, it's not anything. It's not this new technology that we're trying to do some kind of guinea pig thing on. It's been around forever, but Kevin can address that better than I can. He's pretty good.
While he's coming up, I talked to one of my, as many of you know, I was in the water services industry prior to coming here. I talked about the use of chloramines with a former vice president at a company who's now retired, and he speaks very highly of this approach.
Okay.
Just one more thing. Thanks, Kevin, for coming down. This is a freebie. I mean, he's trying to help us. I think if they drove 2.5 hours to get here, he's a big help. Good man.
If we'd known that, we'd
Thank
put him on a
you.
little earlier.
Yeah.
It's all mine, huh?
Should have got plant people here to answer some questions. Just leave it.
Okay.
Jim, do they have these slides? What are these slides
I
produced?
gave slides to the press, the ones for the committee.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Certainly.
I've given this presentation numerous times, and I'm very proud and happy to give it, and I always start off saying that don't expect to understand it. I kind of chuckled to myself when I heard you say this very technical presentation, and this is the presentation I give to, this was written for Kansas Rural Water originally, and then given to the Kansas section AWWA, and then Oklahoma Rural Water, and I've given it many, many times because it's a concern. And you said it was real technical, but yet this, all you're going to see is just the introduction and the fluff. There is nothing technical I'm going to show you here to speak of, compared to what the water plant people have to know and understand. Okay, page down. There we go. This is a presentation to educate operators at water plants, and I like to start out real simple and tell everyone that when you're at a water plant, you have got free chlorine, and that's what the city is currently using. And then when you add something to it, in this case ammonia, you have combined chlorine, and those two together equal total chlorine. So this is basic water chemistry. Free chlorine plus combined chlorine equals total chlorine. This part's a little bit technical. These are your two types of free chlorine. I never really knew what these, I'm proud I can actually say hypochlorous acid and hypochlorite ion and not stumble on those words. Those are the two forms of chlorine. When you add free chlorine to water, it disassociates into those two species. And it's pH dependent. One of them is a better disinfectant than the other, hypochlorous acid, and typically the lower pHs allow that to be a better disinfectant. So this is where you're at right now. This just shows also temperature and pH affect the distribution of those two. I guess this is a little technical, and so I'm going to go through it fast and get to the part you really care about. This is the disassociation of those species, depending on what you're feeding. I'm not sure what the city's currently feeding. Dale, do you know which? You guys feeding chlorine gas? I would assume?
Yes, we are.
So that would be the reaction for what you're currently feeding. I guess I should state that my interest in this is it's really the fact that I'm one of the few people in the state that's willing to talk on the subject. The DEQ has always been against chloramines, and we will soon see here why. It's in the presentation. You'll have to figure out which one of the disadvantages, which one is really their reason. But it's becoming more systems are going to chloramines. And also it took me, I started learning chloramines in 1994. That's when I came to work for this company for the second time. And I needed to understand it because some of my customers were feeding chloramines. It took me 6 years to understand it. So it's not something simple. And so what's chloramination? Really what that is, that's what you're going to. That's a two-stage process. Because chloramines don't disinfect very well, you still have to feed your free chlorine in the plant. But at some point in time, you're going to add ammonia to it, and that makes it chloramines. Well, I've got this automation thing here. So to kind of let everyone know, this is an established process. It was for wastewater and for drinking water. And so this is nothing new. In fact...
How long has it been around?
How long has it been around? I would say starting in... Well, it was common in the 20s. This is the part I actually gloss over fairly quickly because it is so common now. In fact, the entire state of Kansas, 80% of their water plants feed it. But this gives a little bit of the history. It was, I guess, way back when, I haven't really read the literature, it was the way to go until someone figured out breakpoint chlorination, which is what you currently do. And once they figured out that, then why mess with chloramines, because it's a little bit more complicated. But then as these THMs, and 5 years ago people didn't even know what THMs were, and now this is the number one reason cities are going to chloramines. Okay, so why would you go to chloramines? It's pure and simple. The only reason I would see Shawnee going is because the formation of your THMs and your HAAs, which are trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids, mostly ceases. Okay, almost 90-95% of those formations stop and Jim was right, chlorine loves organics, and so unless you tie it up with ammonia, it's going to attack organics, and organics make your THMs and HAAs. And so another reason, Kansas has been feeding chloramine since early in the 80s, before these byproducts were even known. And why would they want to do it? Because usually, and I say usually, there are some caveats here that make it not usually, but you can keep your chlorine residual longer. It stays around more. The free chlorine, if you get a lot of heat, it's volatile, it'll actually come out. So you can lose your chlorine with free chlorine easier. So chloramines keep a residual better. And the thing that's funny is chloramines in the state of Oklahoma had a bad rep because it made bad tasting water. But it's not true. Almost every drinking water contest I've ever been to at the national AWWAs and the Southwest sections, the ones that Oklahoma would be part of, they've almost always been won by a chloraminated water source. And so if you do it properly, you will have less taste and odor with chloramines than you do currently with free chlorine. Another thing, I attended a conference up in Wichita last week where they were working with the hospitals and the local schools, these water doctors, and they were talking about the different kinds of bacteria that live in water. And one of their concerns now is this Legionnaire's disease. And I didn't know this until about a month ago, but there is evidence that say chloramines are effective on Legionnaire's disease. And so you will hear more about Legionnaire's disease in the next 10 years. It's you've heard a little bit about it. There was one conference where a bunch of people got sick maybe 10 years ago, and all the outbreaks of Legionnaire's disease have been kept pretty quiet and settled without a lot of press. But in the last 5 years, there's been a lot more of these being reported, and they documented that at the conference. So this would be a good reason to have chloramines. Now the downsides. The problem with chloramination, and the number one reason I would say it's not in Oklahoma, is you have to understand it in order to do it.
and I say add more and get less, and I use an example that if you don't know what you're doing and you're on the wrong part of the curve, if you add chlorine because your chlorine's going down, your chlorine will actually, this is what makes it hard to understand. If you're running a water plant and someone says your chlorine levels are going down, you would be tempted to turn the chlorine up, right? You turn the chlorine up, the chlorine should go up. But if you're with chloramines, because we're not doing that, your chlorine can actually go down. So to turn your chlorine up, you got to turn your chlorine down. So if you don't know what you're doing, but once you figure it out, it's not so bad. Okay, another bad thing about chloramines are unregulated byproducts, or unknown byproducts that aren't regulated. There has not been a lot of research on chloramines and the byproducts by chloramines, and you can bet if the EPA is doing their job, they will find something that needs to be regulated with chloramines in the next number of years. That is a downside. We don't know what's going to happen there. Biofilms, if you don't feed chloramines correctly, you're adding ammonia to your water. Ammonia is a fertilizer, it's a food source. There is bacteria in the water, no matter what anyone says. In every water there's bacteria, whether it's been there's in all the mains, but it's not bad bacteria. It's good, indifferent bacteria. It doesn't cause harm to humans. Well, those bacteria can grow when you give them ammonia, and then they get biofilms, and the biofilms so that is a downside. But if you properly do chloramines, can very much almost eliminate biofilms. So the reason I'm here is my vested interest in this, the only reason I promote chloramines is because it makes me look smart. It's it's one of the things I've studied a lot. It's kind of cool. And we sell the equipment to test for it. So the city of Shawnee, why they don't have to buy it from Hawk, and it's inexpensive test kits in the lab, they would rely on us for the procedures and the methods to test to make sure they don't overfeed the chemistry so they don't develop the biofilms. And if they get the biofilms, then they can buy the media from us to test for them. Okay, another problem with chloramines is it's a weaker disinfectant, to the tune of at least 20 times weaker. So they're not using this for disinfecting. You'll still get your disinfection with free chlorine, and then you'll hit it with ammonia. It interferes with dialysis machines, and it's toxic to fish, and those things have already been addressed, I think.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, you say that we hit it with chlorine early in the process, right? Then we combine the ammonia, which creates the chloramines for the distribution system because it's the residuals better. So in other words, we knock out the bugs early in the process with the free chlorine, correct?
Yes, you kill or inactivate the bad bacteria.
Early in the treatment process.
Early in the process.
Then you add the ammonia, which creates the chloramines.
Correct.
Right, for the distribution system, for the secondary treatment within the plant and the distribution system. Is that a way to phrase that?
I would say you're going to feed ammonia post-filter. So I would say that the ammonia would be added in the late stage of the water treatment plant.
Yeah, that's what again, first stage is you hit them with free chlorine, which kills all the pathogens, right? And then you do the treatment process, secondary treatment. And so is the chloramine then like a tertiary within the plant?
A tertiary disinfectant? Mm-hmm. Very weak.
Okay.
You don't count on it. There's no credit given for chloramines of being a disinfectant.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. But the point,
it's my understanding.
Also because of the stage of where it's used.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That where in the process we're using it is the key to this thing.
Yes.
Okay.
You have to have, the state requires you to have sufficient killing power from your chlorine, and so you have to calculate that with sufficient buffer in case your flow, because it's flow and temperature dependent. And so they have to calculate in their plant at what point would be the earliest they could feed ammonia to ensure that all the viruses and bacteria have been killed or inactivated.
Okay, is there a test after you hit it with the free chlorine before you hit it with chloramines?
Yes.
So you hit it with the free chlorine, then you test.
Post-chlorination, right after the filter truck before it goes into the thermal belt, and it was shortly after we did it with the chlorine, we did it with the ammonia, on the chlorine, right before it goes into the thermal belt.
Okay, and then there's a test in there, and those steps tell you where you are. Okay, cool, thank you.
So what your point is even though it says it's a weaker disinfectant, at the process that we would be using it, it's not used for a disinfectant.
Yes.
We've already passed that part of the process for us.
Yeah, and that's the reason I asked that question, because of that bullet point. That needs to be clarified.
Yep.
Yeah, this process is not going to create more bugs in the water.
That's correct. The bugs has already been killed.
Safeguards in place so that when this process takes over, we've already dealt with the bugs.
Yes. Yeah, you have to have a certain level of chlorine, so yeah, the concentration, and I think whatever it is, 2 or 3 parts per million for X amount of time. So.
That's right.
And then that gives you
3
your CT or your contact time, and temperature plays a part in that. So yes, so what you're saying is correct.
Okay, thank you.
This was my statement to scare DEQ, because 2011, 50% of Oklahoma or close to it will be drinking chloraminated water. And there are the cities that either are currently or will be. I figure once Tulsa comes on board in about 2010, 2011, that'll put us over the 50%. It's still you got 250 water plants, surface water plants in the state, so it's very few number of plants, but it's all the big cities are going to it. And in Kansas, almost all their systems have been doing it.
Hold that a second, please.
Sure.
So, vast majority of these are already there, correct?
These ones have been, Bartlesville just went online 2 months ago. Shawnee will come online, as you know better than I, in Tulsa in 2010 or 2011.
Okay, but Oklahoma City's already there. And
Everyone else is already there.
Okay.
Yep. So just Shawnee and Tulsa are the only ones on there that haven't actually gotten there yet. Okay? So this goes back to once we went through that, to get a little bit better understanding, I think I'm only going to go through 24 slides. So this is that original slide, free plus combined equals total. When you do your chloramines, instead of having the hypochlorous acid and the hypochlorite ion, you'll get to use the words monochloramine and dichloramine. And monochloramine is the good stuff, and dichloramine is the stinky stuff. So if you want monochloramine, and that's what the process is designed to do, and you'll quit thinking in terms of, I try to get people to quit thinking in terms of chlorine and think in terms of ammonia, if you want to understand it. Instead of having free chlorine now, you're going to have free ammonia. Because to do chloramination, you have to have a little bit of excess ammonia in the water. But you want to have such a small amount that you can't smell it and it doesn't create any problems. So their control process is going to be to minimize, to tie up all the chlorine with ammonia and have just a tad of free ammonia left over. And I don't know if we need to get into any more of this technical stuff.
You said it wasn't technical.
Pardon me?
You said this was not going to be technical.
Yeah.
We want to understand your word.
Yeah, technical, sorry. It's all relative, I guess.
I didn't like chemistry in high school.
Residual stays longer in the pie.
Yes, we hit that with our advantages, but one of the great benefits of chloramines is that in the hot summer months, they don't degrade. So you can leave the plant with 2 parts, and if you had free chlorine, by the end of your distribution, you might be down to a half part. But if you got 2 parts of chloramines, you might be down to 1.8.
So way out in all the lines, as far out as the distribution lines go, we won't be losing chlorine like we might now,
if done properly.
if done properly.
Do these chemicals affect our workplace safety? You have some caustic chemicals, ammonia and chlorine here. I know that's part of the binning, but
That's going to be theirs. I don't sell the
increase our liability?
chemicals, so I'd defer to Dale on that one.
Workers' comp.
No, there's not going to be any adverse things as far as that goes.
I mean, we have.
What was the question again?
Well, we have safety precautions in place for dealing with the fumes of these chemicals.
Oh, the leaks, okay, sure, yeah. Gas leaks and
Workplace
stuff.
safety is key.
That's a good question.
Good procedures.
You bet. I hate to do this to you, but we glossed over a couple of the downsides. Can we go back to that slide, 2 or 3 slides ago? On the downsides, we got to get into a technical discussion.
You want to go backwards, you said? This
Yeah,
way?
keep going backwards. All right, let's stop there. There. Okay. Let's talk about the next 2 bullet points. Everybody needs to understand this pretty clearly. Okay, could you address both bullet points, please?
The interferes with dialysis machines. I was here earlier, and we had a meeting, and I was told that that was all addressed. Now, my understanding with when a system converts to chloramines, they need to contact all of the anybody that could have kidney dialysis machines and let them know that this could be a problem. I've also been told that every kidney dialysis machine made today basically has a switch on it. So there's nothing they have to do other than be aware of the fact that it's being changed to chloramines.
And Jim, we have contacted the medical community on this extensively.
Extensively, and we've got a mail office fixing to go out the water bills, and yeah, we've over-educated.
Okay, again, I think it's a critical point for everybody to understand. And then the other one is the impact on aquariums.
Yes, the problem there is if you have an aquarium and you want to get rid of chlorine, you add a chemical called sodium thiosulfate, and the thiosulfate gets rid of the chlorine. Thiosulfate does not get rid of chloramines. So there's another chemical you have to have. I can't tell you what that is off the top of my head, but you do have to have something else. Well, the last meeting we were here, there was a gentleman that had some large fish farms on the other side of the interstate, and he educated me and said that that is a common chemical. They have both of them, and that they were already educated in this before you even thought about going to chloramines. And so it's just a matter of, but my caution would be, there was the Walmart person here. I thought that the Walmart should make a sign there and say, this is what you use now, and when we switch to chloramines, this is what you use, once the city goes to chloramines. So they don't confuse the consumer.
You just buy a different bottle of some kind of tablet that you put in there.
Yes.
Drops or something.
Okay.
It's a different chemistry that knocks out the chloramines.
I presume, I keep interrupting you, I apologize for that, just for clarification. So I presume at the end you're going to have time for a few questions then.
I'm basically at the end right now because I started getting more technical, and I tend to lose even the water plant people when I go further than this.
Start to
Can't
lay
go any farther.
And so, but the one thing I want to let everyone here know is that I've been working for Hawk Company for almost 20 years. I've been to almost every water plant in Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and a lot of them in Iowa. And I have never seen anyone do the due diligence that Shawnee has. I mean, I come down, first of all, no one has ever asked me to come to a city council meeting, and they did. They also asked me to get involved with the other group. Ever since from the previous water plant manager, Charles Bell, to now with David Rodriguez, I've never seen two people that want to be educated and want to do things right and take their time. I keep thinking, man, aren't you guys going to chloramines yet? As much, how long they've been talking about it. I mean, Bartlesville called me up, and 2 months later they were doing it, and so and it went smoothly. So if anyone has any concerns about starting up chloramines, call somebody in Bartlesville if you know someone and say, hey, they probably don't even, the average person in Bartlesville probably doesn't even know they're drinking chloraminated water now.
We've had a tough track record, so
Yeah.
we're a little sensitive about that, treatment of water.
But I don't know if you want me to go further with the presentation. It only gets more technical.
I had one of the first obvious questions, just to kick that off, is swimming pools. Any impact on swimming pools at all, and the way they treat their swimming pool?
I have to think about that for a second.
It's going to impact the color, you said, Dale?
The impact of what?
I can't.
They said the color. They said it'll impact the color.
Color. Oh, yes, the water will look, yes, I should put that in there. The
green
water
tint
looks
to
at a
it.
different color to it. And someone brought that up at the
In a swimming pool.
swimming pool. It'll look different.
Okay.
Is there any other downside on things like humidifiers or anything else that like tap water is used in for the home?
Yeah, people that use oxygen machines.
Yes.
Sometimes run, and I know they're supposed to use
That's right.
distilled water, but sometimes they don't. Is that going to affect anything?
No, no one has ever said anything to those regards. And these presentations, I've given it at a lot of places, and this presentation is not even close to when I first started out. Every time I give a presentation and somebody adds something, although I didn't do a very good job adding the color for the chlorine for the swimming pool, but we try to add it in there. And so
Okay, so that water used for the humidifying effect of things like oxygen machines and that has no effect, okay?
No, I would tend to think hardness would be a bigger concern there, because that stuff, as you dehumidify and evaporate, then the hardness would leave residuals behind.
Leaves a mineral.
Okay.
As a mineral, yeah.
If I recall, didn't you tell us that this would be cheaper to use than what we currently are? Would we save money using this system? Cheaper than the ozone because electric bill, that's right.
And of course, we looked at several systems too. That it's a lot cheaper than activated carbon, overwhelmingly.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
not sure that activated carbon would work anyway.
And the chemicals that we'll use, more people have them, so we can.
Readily available, right.
So, yeah, the supplier.
But the
more
energy
suppliers.
was the big savings. That was one of the
Huge
big
savings on the
over
energy. You bet.
the ozone. Okay.
This is for y'all, and so that's the reason we're having this thing. If you answer any questions from any.
So what is the process for us to convert over?
Tim, why don't you get back up there for this one?
And probably the other question is, how does this affect our position with the ozonization system we have in litigation as well?
I'm
We're
not gonna
planning,
answer that question.
we've got some valve problems at the water plant, which we're getting fixed, and we're just going to wait till we get that fixed. But basically, all along, the plan has been the first of the year. That's what we've been telling everybody, giving plenty of time so everybody will know, no surprises, no, panic.
Happy new chloramine year.
Yeah, so it's the first, around the first of the year is when we plan on.
And you've also contacted, besides just internally to Shawnee, you've contacted the PCDA and Meeker and anyone else who we supply water with, and you've supplied them with the information that they need to supply their customers
Right.
with?
Right,
Okay.
we've sent those letters. We've invited because we had a big user meeting. We had
Major
the
users.
industries and stuff like that. We invited Meeker, PCDA, Tecumseh, and I think the only one that came was PCDA. Is that right? Meeker came to one. Tecumseh's never.
Okay.
And all the major industries as well.
Yeah, and it was a good, they, just like you said, the fish pond pro guy taught us something, so, yeah, it was a good deal.
Where's DEQ sitting on this right now, Jim?
We just have to install a couple of vents and get it inspected, and we're good to go.
So they fought off on this process then?
Do we have to have
Yeah,
a permit for that? Is it
The
there's a
engineering
procedure?
report and the permit, yeah, we've got all of that. It's just very minor adjustments, and then the inspection, if they find something in the inspection we need to do different, which they're famous for, we'll do different, and then they'll say, okay, and we'll go. We just stay out to buy the chemicals and see what happens. And I just want to say, this may not go perfectly smooth. As if you would listen to some of the technical stuff, you would understand. But I think it's going to work. But it's like riding a bike. It's good. There's going to be a few bumps, but I think we're going to make it work. I really think this is going to work. But I'm not trying.
So what will we see as a bump? Will we see taste and odor issues, or will we? What's a bump to you?
We could see equipment failure. We could see probably the closest thing, and we'll get people to help us.
Hint, hint, hint.
Is the adjustment, the relation to chlorine to ammonia, because you've got to fine tune that. You don't just, okay, flip the chlorine, flip the ammonia, and
and
Walk
it works.
away, right.
You really got to fine tune it, and then another thing, we have to flush dead end lines, which we're already doing, but we need to do that more.
Okay.
And that's probably going to be the first, if there is a bump, is getting the ratio to chlorine and ammonia right. Is that?
And so that would precipitate the fact that we would do more testing initially until the system is in rhythm, right? Okay.
We're always looking at naturally occurring ammonia in water.
Yeah.
And we'll adjust our feed to that, the amount of water. Those tabs on that. And get a running average on that, whether it's wastewater or the joint lines. And as long as we, we're real diligent on watching our ammonia chlorine ratio, I don't foresee any problems as far as, every taste and odor. Like Jim said, we might initially see a little bump as we're going to start, but that's just that's where I'm at and see exactly what we're going to.
And again, getting back to Vice Mayor Peterson's question is what does a bump mean?
Well, I don't think we're going to foresee anything as far as any major case or other problems. That's the only thing that I can see that might be, any kind of issue whatsoever.
Okay, so a bump in this context then is a taste or odor issue.
That's what I.
Because because the pathogens have already been killed early in the process.
What does it usually, or how long does it usually take to go from one system to the other system?
If you flush your lines, so when you start feeding chloramines, what the trouble is when the two mix. So when your existing water mixes with your new water, that zone of mixing is what smells. And so if you can, when you start feeding your chloramines, start opening up the fire hydrants at the other end of town and just flush her through as fast as you can.
I think the diligent flushing program right from the get-go will be a major factor in keeping the chasing those problems down and start at. And we'll probably have to do a diligent flushing program, from time to time, especially when we have any veins, that type of thing, where we have any kind of buildup.
What about water towers?
Pardon me?
What about water towers? Did you take some down?
As long as we keep them going up and down, kind of roller coastering them to where we don't have water just sitting in them all the time, the same amount of water. We try to do that on a daily basis anyway. We're really diligent about trying to make sure, we don't have water sitting in our towers, all the time every day.
Right.
We roller coaster them back and forth as long as our fill well and our process got the plans, so that water stays moving and the water that we make gets used as we make it.
Okay. And as long as we've taken to do chloramines, like Kevin said, it's these guys have boned up on it. I mean, these water plant guys, they're good at what they do, and they take it serious, and they can,
It's all about coordination.
they can make my head swim pretty easy if they start getting technical, but they're into it. They take their job very seriously, and it's not, you don't have to worry about if there's bumps, the legitimate bumps. It's not because somebody's watching TV or asleep or whatever. They take their jobs very, very serious, and I think they're very good at it. Any
Okay.
more?
It's good for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin, thank you very much for coming
Yes.
and explaining. Thank you for the drive, and I look forward to seeing you here again.
Thanks very much.
Okay, we ready to go back to number 7?
Yeah.
You guys got that worked out? Arm wrestled and...
I think it probably does deserve a little more say on my part because I'm not being real familiar, and I'll check with the building code and the building permit people to be sure what any policies or past practices. But just a cursory look, the codes talk in terms of premises, on premises, off premises, And at one point, it even talks about aggregate uses, which means a group of primary uses integrated in a single development not separated by open public streets under common ownership, sharing private parking facilities. That is a development. But again, there might be other practices, because obviously the C1 has a different sign allowance as a C3, so there will be some adjustment in terms of what the signs are in the uses of the back of the building or the front, or what kind of frontage sign you'd have. But the applicant also would like to go ahead and proceed for tonight. They're not concerned, I guess, or worried that this issue cannot be overcome if there is an issue down the line.
Okay. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and we can have other discussion.
So is the recommendation still to divide the property into two zones?
Correct.
A C1 on the north and C3 on the south?
That's correct. It's approximately half and half, but I think one of them's 100, here I can check it real quick. One is 148 and one's 156.
Whatever.
Okay.
Close enough.
That's close. So it's approximate.
Okay. Good.
I'm sorry, I tuned out for a minute. What'd you do?
We're moving along.
Okay, sorry.
We'll just drag you with us.
Okay.
148.9 feet on the south, and it's 156 on the north. That's the split, and that's the way the ordinance is reading. Split. Okay.
Other discussion, questions? Entertain a motion.
Move to accept.
Motion by Commissioner Schran. Second by Commissioner O'Neill. We have a title to read? Get after it.
Your turn.
Just making sure you're paying attention.
An ordinance concerning the zoning classification of following described property located in the corporate limits of the city of Shawnee, Potawatomi County, Oklahoma, to wit, all of the west 100 feet of the east half of the south half, west of the south 7 feet, block 2, line station Shawnee, most particularly described as beginning the southeast corner of block 2 with basis bearing at north 89 degrees, 31 minutes, 0 degrees west, on the south line of the flat, it's north 0 degrees, 46 minutes, 52 seconds west, distance of 7 feet, it's north 89 degrees, 31 minutes, 0 seconds west, distance of 75 feet to the true point of beginning. It's north 89 degrees, 31 minutes, 0 degrees west, distance of 100 feet. And it's north 0 degrees, 47 minutes, 6 seconds west, distance of 148.95 feet. And south 89 degrees, 41 minutes, 48 seconds east, distance of 100 feet. And south 89 degrees, 46 minutes, 58 seconds east, distance of 149.26 feet to the point of beginning. And south 150 feet of the east half to the north half, and east 75 feet of the south half of block 2. West south 7 feet, lines additions Shawnee, more particularly described. It's beginning at the southeast corner of block 2 with a basis bearing north 89 degrees, 31 minutes, 0 seconds west on the south line of 6 flat. And it's north 0 degrees, 46 minutes, 52 seconds west, distance of 7 feet, the true point of beginning. And it's north 0 degrees, 46 minutes, 52 seconds west, distance of 306 feet. North 89 degrees, 52 minutes, 36 seconds west, distance of 175 feet. And south 0 degrees, 47 minutes, 6 seconds east, distance of 155.95 feet. And south 89 degrees, 41 minutes, 48 seconds east, distance of 149.26 feet. And south 89 degrees, 31 minutes, 0 seconds east, distance of 75 feet to the point of beginning. Rezoning such property from R1 single family residential to C3 automotive commercial and recreation district, and amending the future zoning map of the city of Shawnee accordingly. And north 156 feet of the east half of the north half, and east 75 feet of the south half of block 2. West south 7 feet, lines addition to Shawnee, more particularly described beginning at the southeast corner of block 2 with a basis of bearing north 89 degrees, 31 minutes, 0 seconds west of the south line of 6 flat. It's north 0 degrees, 46 minutes, 52 seconds west, distance of 7 feet from true point beginning. It's north 0 degrees, 46 minutes, 52 seconds west, distance of 306 feet. It's north 89 degrees, 52 minutes, 36 seconds west, distance of 175 feet. South 0 degrees, 47 minutes, 6 seconds east, distance of 155.95 feet. And south 89 degrees, 41 minutes, 48 seconds east, distance of 149.26 feet. And south 89 degrees, 31 minutes, 0 seconds east, distance of 75 feet to the point of beginning. And all of the south half of vacated 32nd Street adjacent to the north line of Block 2, lines addition Shawnee, more particularly described as beginning at the northeast corner of Block 2, with basis of bearing north 89 degrees, 31 minutes, 0 seconds west on the south line of 6 flat. And it's north 0 degrees, 46 minutes, 52 seconds, a distance of 2906 feet. south 89 degrees, 44 minutes, 52 seconds. West distance 175 feet. South 0 degrees, 47 minutes, 6 seconds. East distance 27.91 feet. South 89 degrees, 52 minutes, 36 seconds. East distance 175 feet. Upon beginning, zoning said property from R1 single family residential to C1 neighborhood commercial district and then official zoning at Shawnee.
And all
We should
That's one of the longest ones you've ever read.
You know, I just made up those numbers too.
No, we zoned you out after the first 2 words. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun just listening to you. You're quiet over there most of the time. It's kind of fun to hear you talk. Call roll, please.
I don't know now.
What were we voting on?
Aye.
O'Neill?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Cole?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Carrie, get that thing closed.
You give John the rest of the night off?
Well, we'll take it easy on him the rest of the night. I'm kind of coach. Number 11, consider an ordinance providing for participation by the City of Shawnee citizens in the City of Oklahoma City's Household Hazardous Waste Collection Program. Hey, Jim.
Oh.
Unless she's got slides.
No,
Okay.
no, that didn't work out for me well last time.
Yeah, I remember.
I want to start out with just a little bit of history before I go into this. For years, we have been looking at perhaps paying into an annual household hazardous waste facility that's located in Midwest City. That cost would have been $7,500 per year, and then they would have charged us additional for other services. And I stumbled upon the fact that Oklahoma City allows Yukon, Edmond, and the Village, among others, to utilize their facility in Oklahoma City on Southwest 15th in Portland. And they don't charge a yearly fee. What they do is they bill the city for whatever the customer brings in, and then they take that, then like the city would in turn bill the customer. So for theoretically very little money, to no money, we can offer our citizens the service of household hazardous waste disposal. We currently offer none. So citizens could take products such as paints, cleaners, oils, batteries, and pesticides that contain potentially hazardous ingredients when you dispose of them to Oklahoma City for a fee. And if you'll look at page 96, the fee schedule is on there. Citizens can take up to 7.5 gallons and be charged $39.50. 7.5 gallons to 15 gallons, $79. 15 gallons to 22.5 gallons, $118.50. 22.5 gallons, up to 22.5 gallons, $158. I realize it's expensive, but these facilities are expensive to operate and to meet the requirements set forth by the EPA.
So they have to haul it up there to Portland 15th, they pay, and then we bill them.
Oklahoma City bills us.
Right, and then we bill them.
And then we bill the citizen.
So they give us that record, and
Yes, the citizen will take their water bill and their driver's license in. This is not for commercial accounts. And then they'll get the information. Oklahoma City will get the information and bill us with that
is that
information.
billed to the clerk's office then?
Yes, it'll go through the utility billing office. I was asked a question earlier today if we would be charging administrative fees. I had considered that, didn't put it on this one. I thought we could come back and do that if we decide to do administrative fees. If I do recommend administrative fees, I figure it's going to take at least 30 minutes of staff time per transaction. So
Did
I
you
would...
check with the other cities like Yukon and...
Yukon does not charge an administrative fee.
And the others?
I have not gotten a hold of anyone at the Village. Edmond does not charge an administrative fee.
And the question would be, for me, is how many people utilize that service from those other communities?
Right now, Edmond and Yukon both average about 4 to 5 people per month.
Okay, pretty minor.
Now, this pertains only to household hazardous materials,
Yes,
and they have to be from the, whoever's going to present the water bill when they dump this stuff
yes.
at the site. They have to be the resident of that property.
The address
It can't
needs-
be a commercial
Right,
deal.
that's correct.
Unless
Commercial
you
accounts
hire a
need to pay their
painter
own.
to paint your house, and he leaves the cans.
If you as a resident want to take that in, that would be your prerogative.
Hours of operation of the facility.
Oh, you know, I did not do that, but I know that they are open regular business hours, closed through the lunch hour. And I think they have some Saturday hours, but no Sunday. I'm sorry, I didn't look that up.
Are there any limits on the quantity or the number of trips a customer can make, a resident?
Didn't look that up either, and I was asked that question earlier today.
I would assume
They take
that,
all you want to pay for it.
well, I was going to say, I would assume that as long as you got a water bill, I mean, you know, and you got the proper identification, you can probably make as many trips, but what you're going to be charged here, you better be thinking about how many trips you want to make.
Yeah, really.
There is a minimum and maximum charge per vehicle per arrival. And that's based on the equivalent rate units of the material that's brought in.
So basically, this is going to be a pay-for-use.
Yes.
This would be available for those citizens who would elect to use this service should they need it.
Yes.
Previously, we did have a contract that all the citizens paid for, which I guess was $10,000 one Saturday a year. We had bring it till the truck fills up, and then that's all it takes.
I don't believe we've ever actually utilized that
Okay.
service because of the limited amount
We
of
budgeted for that.
waste
Yeah,
that
we
we would be
did.
able to dispose of.
Really on that
I
deal.
know.
Yeah, that was in place when I got here.
Wasn't it,
Yeah.
how much was it,
I
10
think we
grand?
did 10,000.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe sometime during, you know, every spring, we have this cleanup program here in Shawnee,
Yes.
that there is a gathering place. I mean, perhaps can a vehicle, truck or something be located at that I don't know how, I guess the question is, I don't know how we would be able to charge the customer on a deal like that, but it was something we certainly need to be thinking about as a possibility, because the spring cleanup is a high thing that goes on here every year.
And there are certain things that we can dispose of that cleanup, such as motor oil, tires, and I think, Jim, was it batteries? Did they take batteries one year? But there's a variety of things that we have individual businesses that come in and do for us, like Ball Pipe and Supply takes the metal. Another
Aren't there
gentleman takes the
disposal
tires.
sites for those kind of things in the city already?
There are some.
AutoZone takes the oil,
Yeah.
and I don't think people are gonna jump in there and wanna pay extra for, and then drive their hazardous waste to the city.
No, sir, a lot of people won't, but I do get calls from people who would, and I've explained to them that this is on its way, and there have been some
Just an option.
citizens who are interested.
Just an
It is a way to offer this, for people who want to dispose of their hazardous waste responsibly. It's an option for them.
So out of roughly almost 30,000 residents in the city, you're saying that based on other cities, maybe 50 of them are gonna do this?
Yes.
Seems like a waste
won't
of
be a lot
time
of-
to me.
Well, does it cost us anything?
It cost us nothing.
Little administration time, but it's a
Administration
service, it's a service to our citizens
But yeah. And
that
if-
want to do that, especially those that are active in, especially like sustainable
But
Shawnee.
the city manager has to furnish staff that's gonna bill these people that take their hazardous
It's not
waste.
that many though, like I said.
Yeah, again, it's a handful. I mean, it's just a minor number, and it goes through the building department anyway, through the water bill.
And is that something that you would bring to us later if you found that the administrative costs,
Sure, if it became a
At the
problem, I'd
time,
bring it back to you, bet.
that was something more than just minimal,
Just add
that
it
maybe
on.
we ought to consider?
Surcharge.
You bet.
Yeah, and, you know, I was the one that asked whether or not there was going to be an administrative charge on top of this. But I think this also says, I mean, there's a word in here for like this trial period. I mean, this will be, if we do this, it can be 6 months, and then we can have another contract at the beginning of our other budget year, at which time, if the administrative cost is too much or more than what we had anticipated, or the use is more than what we had anticipated, I think we need to discuss that then.
Okay.
Any other
So,
questions?
Motion?
I make a motion to approve the ordinance to participate with Oklahoma City in a hazardous waste collection program.
Motion by Vice Mayor Peterson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Holt. Call roll, please. Oh, read the title. God, John's trying to give you a break.
Short one.
Yeah.
An ordinance establishing disposal of household hazardous waste, create a new section 23-40, Article 2 of Chapter 23, the Code of the City of Shawnee, establishing procedure and location for disposal of household hazardous waste, providing for rates for the service, providing for severability, declaring an emergency.
Call roll, please.
Peterson?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Tran?
Aye.
O'Neill?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
For preservation of the public peace, health, and safety, the emergency is hereby declared and used by reasonable efforts or shall be in full force and effect immediately upon passing.
We probably don't need an emergency, do we?
Everybody knows my opinion on
Yeah.
emergencies. I think you need an emergency to declare one. I mean, we haven't had the service for,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
they've
just
been
30
storing
days.
stuff anyway.
It's just 30 days.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. Okay, good. Tony, thank you for the work.
Yep.
I appreciate it. Some citizens will appreciate it, I'm sure as well. Thank you. Okay, number 12, discuss and consider water negotiations with the city of Tecumseh. And I kind of wanted to add that because I want to know where we are. Kind of brought it up last time, and, you know, we have, my understanding is we have a little more information now that, you know, Tecumseh laid the onus on us. They said, hey, we want this, talk about this thing, we want something done in 60 days, by golly. And we said, okay, and we did. And now all of a sudden, they don't want to talk. It's my understanding, or they don't think they're prepared, or whatever. But I want to know what's going on here, and how, when are we going to bring this thing to a head and decide something, because we have done what we're supposed to do with the best intentions of trying to negotiate, and now they're stonewalling us. I don't understand that. I want to know what's going on. So, and I don't know that you have answers, but it's time for the public to know that we're our citizens, that we're trying to be proactive and work out whatever issues are there, because we are in a regional partnership here, whether we like it or not, with all the communities around us. We're all tied together, and for them to kind of focus and then step back and say, okay, now we don't want to talk anymore, I don't understand that. And if you have some insight to that, I'm looking for it, those of you on that committee.
Well, as a follow-up, I believe it was about a month ago, this commission said, get after it and try to meet with them. And I believe your office has been attempting to coordinate a meeting between the 3 representatives of Shawnee and the 3 representatives of Tecumseh.
That's correct. We've made multiple contacts. My assistant has made multiple contacts with the city of Tecumseh. And so far, we have not been able to schedule another meeting with them. We've provided several options. Again, Vice Mayor Peterson, Commissioner Stevens, and I have met with them several times. And we're awaiting a response at this time.
And it's been somewhere around since the latter part of August. It seemed like Labor Day sticks in my mind.
Absolutely.
So it's been quite a while.
And I think something that's important that we need to bring out is that in every meeting, we had an agenda. In every meeting, questions would arise, whether on the part of the city of Tecumseh or the part of the city of Shawnee. We knew when we left the meeting what was expected of us as representatives for the city of Shawnee, as far as what research we needed to do and information we needed to gather and have available for the city of Tecumseh for our next meeting. And we provided all of that information. In one of the first meetings, we were asked by the mayor, who attended the first meeting, of the three of us, he wanted a copy of the budget and what the anticipated costs were for their fiscal year planning purposes, and that was very expeditiously provided to him, and there was never any response, and there were never any further discussions about money.
But then he didn't come back. He only went to the first meeting.
He went to the first one. After that meeting, if the issue of money was raised, it was essentially that we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about other parts of the contract. So really, and we never got the answers that we asked as far as what the city of Tecumseh wanted, didn't want, what they expected of us. And essentially what has happened now, I think, is that, we've abided by our requirements and the demands that were placed upon us, and as a result of that, we're just at a standstill. They've just quit communicating with us. We are no longer, I don't feel, and these are pretty strong words, and I'll probably get in trouble for saying it later, but I don't feel like that the parties are negotiating in good faith any further. I believe that we've tried to negotiate in good faith. The meetings were long. The preparation for the meetings was extensive. It took a lot of the city manager's time, Linda's time, my time, as well as staff to put together the information so that we could be well educated when we went in the meetings to do what was best for the city of Shawnee. And as well as the city of Tecumseh in partnering with them, as well as the PCDA. Dr. Taryn came to one of our meetings with us and tried to work with us through the course of these negotiations. And at this point, we're just not negotiating. We're not communicating any further. We can't even say negotiating. There's not even communication.
And your understanding is at the last meeting, you weren't in an impasse. There was to be another meeting in the very near future.
Absolutely.
To go to the next step.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, just nothing.
And, I think that since then, Tecumseh has made some decisions about their water needs and what they want for the future, and we haven't been included in any of those. And it's as though the current contract that we have in place has just been pushed over to the side, and we're just going to ignore the fact that the three entities have a contractual obligation to each other. So you all need to decide now what we're going to do.
Because if I understand right, and maybe Dr. Taryn can confirm or not confirm that, but there has been some interaction between the city of Tecumseh and the PCDA as to the procurement of water or some contract. Is that correct? So it's not like they're not talking to anybody. They're talking to you guys.
Right.
So there's.
But they're completely ignoring their financial responsibility to the city of Shawnee under the current contract. And we have calculated those numbers. We have very clearly defined those numbers as far as what our position is.
Right.
I believe that the numbers that we all used were very cautious numbers. We were very careful at the way we calculated those numbers. We're very reasonable, and we can explain those numbers, but we never even got to the point where we could have that discussion, because once the dollar amount was thrown out there, we weren't going to talk numbers anymore. And so now we need to decide as a commission, I think, what sort of steps are we going to take, because I don't believe that we as the city of Shawnee can just ignore the financial obligation under the contract. We just can't say, oh, it's a do-over, we forgive that debt, because that debt is real, the debt is there. And unfortunately, I believe that, the city has made mistakes in the past by not billing accordingly. But that's just something we all inherited.
And that's right. And that's really where this whole thing started, was a letter to us from Tecumseh, if you'll remember, that basically said, we have a contract in place, Shawnee, and by the way, you are not abiding by this section, this section, this section, this section, this section. So, okay. We had a meeting, we looked at the contract. Yes, it is still in effect, and we have a contract. And so we went through every one and said, well, on our opinion, these items apply and we better start abiding by them. And then there are some other ones that there were subsequent agreements or like another contract. What do you
An
call that?
amendment.
An amendment to the contract. So, and we handed, we gave that back to them. And then we got together and said, okay, if we're going to abide by this contract, what does that mean for us? And so we got together, and there are provisions in there that says, by this contract, the city of Tecumseh will pay X amount of money per month as determined by us, but agreed upon by both parties, for the treatment of water. And our interpretation says regardless of amount of water taken. So this was a contract about us treating West Watkins water and delivering it to Tecumseh. Our dilemma now is that as we've gone through it and said, okay, here is our understanding, here's our understanding of what the contract says, and we put it out and said, what do you think? We're not getting any feedback. We have now looked at this contract. This is what we think this contract means to us. We can't now just go, oh, well, we don't like that either, so let's have another one. What do we do now? And our question is, what do we do now? I mean,
Well, since they are talking to Dr. Kerr, is it possible that it would be unfair to him to ask him what are they saying? So we'll have some input?
Do you have any comments, Joe? Any comments about maybe why they're not talking to us, or, I mean, do you have any impression? Opinion?
One you'd like to share with
Yeah,
us?
one that you might share in public, by the way. You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Well, and I don't know how to answer. I know there's frustration on their side. I know that they're interpreting the contract a different way than Shawnee's interpreting it. And with the meeting that I went to, I hope that we can really sit down and discuss this item by item and come to a rational decision about items and get back to where we started way back when, when we first made the contract.
Which we agreed to, we attempted to do that.
But I don't think they got the kind of input that they wanted, that they want to come back and negotiate anymore. And I can't tell you why. I know that they're talking to the Mount Rocky Tribe, who bought the
Rural Water District.
Green,
Right.
to purchase their interest in West Watkins Reservoir, so they no longer have any interest in it. Now, what does that do to your contract? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But there's so many things that enter into this, the way the tensions that are going on. And I think they're, in sincerity, they're trying to just figure out what their problem is so they can solve it. And I don't think they really know what their problem is. But they know they do have a problem. I know probably what I said didn't make any sense, but I don't know that I can make any sense now. It's frustrating to me to be in the middle of this, and they've come to us, PCDA, wanting us to sign a contract agreeing to provide them with water so much at a certain rate. And that granted at our last meeting, so I was protecting my board members or their councils, and they will be addressed in our next board meeting, the second Tuesday of December. And each board member will have a chance to analyze and make recommendations for this. I'm not sure I even know what went into it. I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know what went into it. Maybe their recommendation or their contract. And Tyler has a copy of the contract. He's had a chance to look at it.
No, I haven't. I just got it today.
There's some things in it that, me personally, I don't think I can agree with because they want to tie us down to a set rate. We don't have control over that rate. We buy water from Shawnee, and that pays our rate. So I can't guarantee somebody else a rate.
Exactly.
My decision.
Right.
you know,
Right.
it's going to be hard for us to work out.
And beyond that, I don't know how to advise our representative to the PCDA because I don't know what the overall goal of Tecumseh is. How can I advise our representative that this is a good contract when I don't know where the water's coming from and this is could be a large user, a large supply? Where's that supply going to come from? Previously, the contract we have in place right now says that we will treat their West Watkins water. Okay, they have water available. It's not coming out of the supply that we currently have. What do we need to do if we're going to supply Tecumseh with water that has nothing to do with West Watkins? And I don't know those questions because that has never come up in any discussions that we've had with them. I don't understand what their goal is.
Right.
And we haven't discussed anything about our current contract, which also says that PCDA cannot add on any large water users without the 3 entities agreeing to it. So while it is a request for PCDA to provide water to them, we are a player in this, according to the contract that we can't have a meeting about anymore.
Right.
So what is the next step then? Do we, if they are not going to communicate with us, negotiate, come to the table, are we going to then have to go to court again to have a judge decide? Our interpretation is one thing. Their interpretation is another. Typically, that's when a judge has to get involved and say, okay, this is the interpretation of this judge as to what needs to happen. Or is that where we're going? And I hate to see that because after all this time of trying to break these walls down to the south of us here, really all around us, but south especially, it's going to build a wall back all over again.
Yes.
And I hate to see
Just
that
having
happen.
this discussion does that.
Well,
Absolutely.
And I think it's
And that's
really
not what we
important,
want.
though. I think it's really important, something that Linda said. On more than one occasion, we asked the City of Tecumseh representatives, what do you need from us? What is your vision? What is your plan? Do you want treated water? Do you want raw water? What is your treatment plant capable of doing or not doing? And remember, we brought to the City Commission the question of whether we were willing to allow the City of Tecumseh to tie on to our distribution line. And we said, hey, we can't do that because we have to protect our users in Shawnee. There was at one point the discussion of, you know what, we've got the money to run our line all the way to connect to West Watkins, and we can treat West Watkins. And so, of course, we had to say,
You had to find the we, Tecumseh.
well, Tecumseh
Yes.
was saying that, and it's like, hey, if you all can do that, then
It
that's
happens.
great. Share the technology with us.
Yeah.
If you can treat the water just straight out of West Watkins. So we really, we tried to go back and say, we need to know what your needs are. We need to know what you're capable of doing, and we never got that information back. So it's really hard for us to look at this new contract and say, okay, we can agree with this, or no, we can't agree to this, because we really don't know what the long-term goal is for that entity.
And we have requested a document with their recommendations on how to modify the agreement, and we have not received that.
Yes.
That's right, because even the raw water supplied to the City of Tecumseh would be an amendment to the agreement that we have right now, and those are the kind of things we've been asking for. And-
Well, you just confirmed exactly some conversations I've had as well, because, we were being accused of withholding their 15% of West Watkins water. And when all this time, we said, if you have the 15%, run a line from West Watkins to your plant, we're not stopping you.
Absolutely. And in fact, we provided the numbers to the City of Tecumseh to show that we never even tapped into that.
Right.
That we're okay.
We didn't.
So,
But-
that we never used their 15%, even though those accusations were out there.
And we've never objected to them using their 15%.
So where are we? What do we want to just put this off till another first of the year, 30 days, whatever.
Well,
I mean, one of the things
what can we do?
originally, they came to us with a
With the
problem.
60-day deal, which was now 120 days, 50 days, whatever.
Well, then all of a sudden they change it and says, well, we want treated water, not raw water. But we agreed to give them their 15%, but they had to transport it.
Right.
And the current contract speaks to treated water.
That's correct.
So, we were willing to talk about
You bet.
what the differences in a contract would be.
Well, my
and
whole
then
point is they
if
came
we
to
went
us
along.
originally after the contract was signed, sealed, and delivered.
Did
Now
I-
they won't talk, so we just wait for them to come back.
Well, but I think part of our dilemma
course,
here
that's been a while.
is, though, that under the contract, in a way, we're interpreting the contract. We have certain obligations under the contract, which is to provide billing to them, to provide a copy of our budget so that they can include that in their budget. I mean, we have some responsibilities to the people of Shawnee based upon this contract, which is to enforce the financial responsibilities under the contract. So just how hard do we want to pursue that avenue at this point in time? And that's the guidance I think that we need, because it's really simple for us, the three of us to be talking about, go, send them a bill, send them a water bill, just, hey, on 1827 North Union, I get my water bill, send it to Tecumseh. Well, it's a little more complicated than that. And so do we really want to go to that extent? But if they're not talking to us, we can't even talk about where to send the bill.
Well, excuse me, but talking to us, did I understand that a contract of some sort came to you today?
That's a different
Is
contract.
that a different one?
I received word last week that the city of Tecumseh has contacted the PCDA
Oh, okay.
with a contract. I asked for a copy of it, and I received it this morning, and then I ran copies for y'all. I have not really, I glanced at it, but I haven't really read it.
Carl, the contract that we have right now, I believe, says that the city of Tecumseh would buy treated water from Shawnee, not from PCDA. We send our water to PCDA. This last round, they did, I believe, buy some water from PCDA or at that connection. They didn't really buy it from us. It actually went through a pass-through. And of course, then they came back and cried foul and said, we should be paying a different rate. And that may be what they're trying to clean up.
I
now.
understand, okay.
But anyway, that's part of the deal. But and Wayne and I and Wayne and Linda and probably Pam and Jim and everybody have had lots of discussions about what we're supposed to have done over the last 8 years or whatever, how long that thing's been. 19 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Long time.
8, 19, whatever,
1990.
And, what's supposed to have happened, and basically, we had a really wet period of time to where no one was really concerned until everybody's water dried up, and all of a sudden, it was a big problem. And all of a sudden, we were going, uh-oh, we should have been doing this, and they should have been doing that, and that's where we are right now, is because, if you paid attention to the climatologists that came around here last time, we're already, looks like we're going into a dry winter.
Dry fall, you bet.
In fall and winter, and we very well, in 1 year or 2 years, could be right back in the same boat again. And we better get this fixed now, and that's where we better take care of our long-term water needs, but we got to get these contracts straightened out. Joe?
Just so I can have peace of mind.
Okay.
I'm selfish here. I think suggested maybe you as the mayor contact their mayor and say, look, we've received this mandate for 60 days, and beyond that, you don't know how to react, please tell us how to react. We would like to sit down and meet and solve this problem.
Okay. I can do that. Because he only going to the first meeting, and then he bailed, maybe he and I can get the committees back together again, maybe. I don't know. Give it a shot. I'll give it a shot.
Again, my office has had multiple contacts with them.
Okay.
I have not
I have all his
specifically.
numbers. I will call him tomorrow.
And just my understanding is that they're just not going to meet with us again.
Yeah, I have not had a
Okay.
specific conversation with the
So-
city manager, but it has been handled as we've always tried to
I'll
set
try to get more
meetings.
information.
And let me ask too, and I get,
Good suggestion.
let me ask the city attorney, what is our obligation now that we have acknowledged that we have a contract, we have interpreted it, we have put that interpretation on paper for them. What obligation do we have to continue to abide by the contract as we see fit?
Well, yeah, absolute obligation. You're not going to do what you see as responsible as your interpretation.
That's right.
How can you expect them to want to interpret it your way? So you have to fulfill what your interpretation is.
And that's the point we're at right now, because we've gone through all those steps, and our interpretation I consider public because, I mean, we gave it to Tecumseh.
Sure.
I mean, here's how we interpret all those paragraphs you told us to interpret, and here's the bottom line for the financial obligations. And we did that, and we've kind of been waiting to hear back, but at some point, I'm concerned that we don't draw a line and do something, because I feel like now I am not being responsible as a commissioner, knowing that we have a contract in place, that I am not making sure that we enforce. And so, you know, we've waited a long time. How long is okay? What do we do next? That's why we keep bringing it back to this group.
Right.
This is our obligation. I mean, we have to acknowledge that we have a contract, and we have to interpret it and abide by it.
We have obligations.
Yeah, we can
Absolutely.
only say, well, nobody before us did it, and that
That's
doesn't
no
mean we
excuse.
don't
And
do
we're
it
not-
now.
Right.
You know, and I can't recall all the numbers right off the top of my head, but we're not talking about a small amount of money.
No, it's big dollars.
I mean, truly, and Linda can probably rattle off the numbers very quickly, but just, we're not talking the $40 water bill that jumps up to $65 and the person being impacted. So, you know, it's an impact on us in that that's money that we should have been collecting, but it truly is also an impact on the community of the city of Tecumseh, should they try to abide by the contract and pay that. So,
And that is because of our interpretation that says this cost goes on regardless of the amount of water, whether they receive 1 gallon of treated water or their maximum amount of water they can take from West Watkins.
That is what the contract says.
And our interpretation says whether they take nothing or all of it, here is the price, here, the monthly bill for that.
And I don't know, maybe you all will agree with me on this. I think part of the frustration on our part is that we went through the contract, we crunched the numbers, we came up with a dollar amount that we thought was reasonable, gave that to them, and there weren't even any discussions where they could come back and say, hey guys, wait a minute, we don't agree with this dollar amount right here, because that's not the way we interpret the contract. And they never even tried to make us understand their point of view. So it's just kind of frustrating for us to not even have the discussion. And so we're kind of to the point of, and John can help us, I mean, are we at the point where we send the water bill?
I agree. And,
You know? But we need to talk about this at the next meeting.
Yeah,
I
they'll
mean,
come
this
back.
needs to be something that we discuss, because we don't need to start in other contract negotiations with them until we make a decision about how we're going to handle this.
Oh, yeah.
Joe, you going to say something?
Next meeting.
There's so many things that I have not heard discussed on either side in the negotiation process, but as individual, and there's numbers, for instance, and I was not privy to being in on this contract. I didn't even know it existed until about 2 years ago.
Which contract are you talking about now?
The contract with Shawnee Tecumseh to provide their water.
Wow.
That's the three-way contract we have with the PCDA. That's the contract with the PCDA, it's a three-way contract. We don't have a separate deal. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the contract to provide water to Tecumseh, the drinking water and send to Tecumseh. I was not aware there was even a contract until this discussion started. I was not privileged to be in that meeting or did I know it was there. But there are things that have been discussed individually, such as we had a residual of about $4 million. And in that contract, and this is all hearsay, but I still haven't read this contract, but these are things that have been told me. In that contract, they were to participate in the cost of upgrading your treatment plant to treat the water.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, we, the PCDA, gave Shawnee $4 million, approximately $3.2 million of residuals left over from the West Watkins project. The only way we could use that that money was on the project or pay down the bond.
Which we used it to pay down the bonds, which was substantial.
No?
No, we did not.
I don't think so.
No, we did not.
That's been part of the problem that we inherited, is that it was used for something else through SMA, and I don't know if there were some transfers. Some of this predates me, probably Linda maybe as well. But one of the problems we ran into, my understanding, is that we kind of let the debt go forward. I'm not sure what the real term is, but we pay the interest and not get into the principal, use that money for other things that we needed. And I'm not sure if they were CIP projects or what. But anyway, finally, after you can only do that 2 times or 3 times, whatever, we got to the point where we had to start paying the principal. And now it started climbing on top of us. The refinance has started climbing on top of us to where it's really accelerated the amount of money
But
we
we
have to
didn't
pay.
include that in our computations.
No, but what he's talking about, I mean, that's part of the history.
You may take a lawyer to figure it out. I'm not even sure they can, but I think if we talk about everything that concerns us, we can start to list problems aside one at a time. And I really believe there's a solve for this that will be amicable for everybody as we try. And I realize, and I agree with you, they have to try.
We've been very interested in carrying on the discussion.
I know you can. I'm not criticizing you at all.
Not taking it that way.
And so, but I just think it's worth still another try to talk through this thing and maybe get him back to the table.
Okay. Well, we're not ready to give up yet. But at some point, if they say, it just looks like we're not going to be able to work this out, someone else is going to have to figure out and make that decision, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that hasn't been said yet.
No, we haven't got to that point.
That
Cross
hasn't
this line
been
to
said
die
yet.
point.
Okay. So,
Everybody's trying to do the right thing, I mean, nobody's trying to mess with anybody. We're not throwing any dispersions at Tecumseh either. We represent different interests, but we're all in this together regionally. The agreement with PCDA is a 3-way agreement with the City of Tecumseh, PCDA, Joe, and the City of Shawnee. And we've been through it ad infinitum and presented all the information that's been requested of us. So I'm with Joe. We can continue to do this. We just need to have some visits, more visits.
So we'll add this to December 3rd agenda.
that would be, so that's what you want to do, defer it to our next
Defer.
meeting.
Right.
At which, between now and then, you will attempt to contact their mayor.
Right. And I will communicate that action to the committee, you guys.
Okay.
And hopefully we can set up another meeting.
And we want to.
Okay.
Okay. With an agenda, not a good agenda, not coming with an agenda. But
We have the agenda from the last meeting we
A
didn't
program
have, that we
agenda.
need to do a bar.
And our agendas have always been things, whatever's been asked of either side to provide, that's been listed on there too.
Right.
Like a old business kind of thing that we're responsible for responding to.
Okay. So, motion to defer to December 3rd.
Okay. So moved.
Motion by Vice Mayor Peterson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Holt. Call roll, please.
Peterson?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Tran? Aye. O'Neill?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that an aye or a moan?
And you
I think it's
understand I'm
mine, but-
hesitant just because I am reluctant to let this continue on and on and
Right.
on.
Oh, yeah.
And on and on.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, so,
I agree.
I understand.
That's why I keep bringing it up.
Okay.
Okay, moving right along, that motion passed. 13, consider proposals for municipal pool assessment. James, you've been waiting all night for this, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My recommendation is, to go with Pat on the evaluation of the pool. And I'm very confident in that he can do it. It's just...
Have you checked out his references and experience? I mean, are we okay?
Yeah, and we've worked with him
Oh, yeah? Okay.
before. I mean, he had a pool company that sold products to us for many years, and he's went into the design and
Like municipal pool?
yes. And I was just over at OBU. He just redone some of that over there, the new filters and things for him. So.
The logic behind doing, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, wait just a minute.
Sure.
The two proposals on the surface don't look like the scope is the same. And my question would be, for the one that you're recommending, are you going to get what you want for this price?
Right.
Because the one that is higher, they just lay out more things that need to be done. Are those things included, or let me ask it this way, is what we need included in the one that you're recommending?
I believe it is. I mean, with the testing on the pool, and Caller and I talked earlier about the bathing code, and he's included this. I found it where it was in there, that he's included it in the report. And I think for the price being cheaper, the reason why is we're going to be involved in it with him. We're going to do some of the demolition and stuff like that with him. So
Demolitions are required for proper testing.
For the,
Right.
like the cores and things like that, or whatever it is.
Well, I'm not too sure that we need coring done in the pool. I feel that the pool basin itself is in decent shape. I don't think that's where our leaks are coming from.
But our point is that we're out there asking experts' opinion on something, and I just want to make sure that we're truly getting an expert's opinion for all the testing that needs to be done.
I'm confident with that we will.
I have a question. Why do we need experts' opinion when we already know what has to be done to the pool? We know it's not ADA compliant. We know it has to have, what do they call that, zero entry?
Zero depth entry.
Zero depth entry, yes.
We know the bathhouse has to be demolished and rebuilt according to ADA standards. We all know what has to be done, so I don't understand why we're gonna give somebody $12,000 to $14,000 to tell us what we already know. I would think that money would be better well served to just hire an engineering firm or a contractor, tear the pool down and build a new one.
Well, and it just depends on what way you want to go. I mean...
Well, we were out there 6-7 months ago, several of us, and several commissioners. And it was pretty much determined back then that can't afford to fix this.
Yeah, I thought we talked about looking at putting a pool in a pool, trying to get it ADA, and instead of going and saying, okay, this is where we think our problem is, we go in and whether it's got this 12 feet deep on the deep end, I mean, who has 12-foot deep pool anymore? That was for the high dive that was there a long time ago. But, to put a pool in a pool is 450,000 gallons. I thought we were looking at what would it cost to design that.
We want to downsize is what we want.
Right, downsize and design it for zero depth entry with some playthings and still have a pool and part of a pool, but going in and reforming it, whether you take what's there and take that 12 feet and make it, 8 feet, and redesign. I thought we were looking kind of at a design more than anything, not, here's our problem. That doesn't seem to be relevant. Even when we looked at this thing, we talked about maybe running the pipe and stuff there at that surface, and maybe we have to take out the shallow end and bring it down to where the piping and everything is redone, but to actually run those pipes in on top of that surface, and then go over it, or, we talked about several options. I mean, but we don't know if we can do that or not till you have somebody that can say, if I were to come in and build this pool, I mean, I'd want someone to come in and say, I've done this before. I've taken a municipal pool, just like at Cushing, wasn't it Cushing, or Cushing's got it, I think.
Cushing.
Where they redid their municipal pool, and now, of course, they charge $350 a head, and they come out, they're saying 10,000 in black every year, but they built a play pool. It's also a pool, but, it's got zero depth, and it's got little toys and things. Why can't we do something like that?
Again, obviously, I'll follow anything you want to do. I mean, the logic of me making this recommendation is based on past experience, not maybe specifically with municipal pools, but other construction projects. We do know that it's going to cost multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we don't know what we don't know is the issue. And I understand that we have some generally good ideas. But I'm afraid that if we go into this without giving an outside assessment from people such as Paddock, who know these systems at an engineering level better than we do, that we could end up getting hit with a lot of change orders that are really unpredictable. And to me, $12,000 is a good investment. It's a good hedge, or maybe an insurance policy. It's called value engineering in essence. We're getting a separate set of eyes. If this were a $50,000 deal, I wouldn't be recommending this, but it's going to cost a bundle. And I was just trying to get another set of eyes on this thing. James, if you're, I have a comment on that. I mean, that's my logic behind making this recommendation.
I guess what I thought would happen was that we would hire somebody to design what we wanted. And in that design, they'd say, we're not going to use that piping because everything's going to come over here, or we're not going to use a chlorine system, we're going to use a salt system, or something like that, so that we don't even have to look at whether or not the pipes are any good, because maybe we're not going to use them. I don't know.
Or take this 12 grand and put it into that, let's look at the design phase and the guy says, I mean, this happens all the time. If you pick me, that 12,000 goes into my bid
It's
or
part of the
whatever. It's part of the evaluation. And, we pick the initial design, and part of that is the design, whether they contract that out or not. But to go and spend, I don't understand, and we haven't had this discussion.
Yeah.
But I don't understand what we're looking for here, another set of eyes. What is it we're going to accomplish for $12,000? I mean, what is it? 12 grand, and then we'll get a report that says, well, guess what, your pool's leaking and you got old pipes, and we got to redo the bathhouse, we got to remodel the bathhouse or whatever because it's WPA 1935, which is okay, but let's upgrade it or whatever. But if we couldn't tie this into the design phase of that.
Yeah. That's a valid point. I'd be happy to maybe redo it if you want to and ask for an assessment with the design of a new system. What I'm trying to not get into is a design build issue, because we'll get scorched on those change orders otherwise. I'd just like to have two sets. An engineer that says this is what's wrong and this is the design for what we need to do, and then we bid out the ultimate construction.
And what I see this doing is saying, here's what's wrong, here's the design for what you want, now we're going to build what you want.
That's a valid point.
What if we just demolish the pool? How much would that cost?
I don't have any idea. I don't know.
We know it's, what is it, 75 years old? There's no contractor or engineering firm that's going to come in here and say, we'll build you a new pool right where that one sits and use the old existing piping down in the basement below the bathhouse. There's no way in the world.
We have more efficient technology now.
Oh, yeah.
But again, we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
That was my rationale.
I think we should demolish the pool and downsize and build us another one. Like we talked with Dell City people, I know you have, and different people have, and they demolished their pool, which wasn't near as old as ours.
No,
they downsized and built a pool, and it cost them $1.2 million with a parking lot. We don't need a parking lot at Woodland Park.
maybe it's a little like Stephen Covey, we need to begin with the end. We need to understand what do we think we want? What does this community want? They want something for, little kids, zero depth entry, like little toys and stuff, but yet we still need a pool for teenagers to jump into and swim and things like that. So we need to look at the whole, because that was the splash park was, okay, this is good to 11, which maybe is really good to 8. But what are we going to do for the teenagers and this multiple age group out here in summer swimming, for the YMCA or whatever? But let's not reinvent this wheel. We see what other successful communities have done. Let's take some snapshots or ideas from that and see if we can't incorporate it into the footprint we have, get with the design companies and work from that end back.
Okay.
And incorporate that whole, design in there or whatever assessment. So, I don't know,
I think we need all the financial costs, what it would cost to demolish the pool and leave nothing but a hole in the ground, and let's start all over again.
James, I thought that was part of the information we were going to get from Paddock.
On demolition?
Yeah, I mean, what,
Uh,
he was going to give us an assessment on what exactly is broken, correct?
Right, and well, within this paddock, he also has in here that he'll always also accomplish preliminary cost estimates for a completely new swimming pool facility. Estimate costs. I don't know how extensive that would be.
Yeah, how's he gonna estimate if he doesn't know what we want?
Well, it says limited demo and inspection, so he's planning on, that could mean
That's just to determine conditions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's,
to see if there's leaking.
I still contend we're giving somebody $12,000 to $14,000 for telling us what we already know.
To tell us that the pool needs to be demolished.
well, and I guess maybe
Do we need to demolish the pool?
the flip
We don't know.
side,
I mean, we don't
is
know.
it good enough, is what's there good enough to use again? Is that what we're spending $12,000 for?
That's one of the assessments we're trying to
Okay.
determine right now.
Okay, but would a design tell us, I mean, someone who's going to design it and say, yes, it's going to swing out with the deep end over here, so that's where the drain needs to be, and all that, or maybe the design for some reason would be totally different. I mean,
Yeah, that's something.
that's,
That's a valid point. Again, we're just talking about two different approaches. And obviously, I don't have any pride of authorship on this. However you want to play, it's okay with me. My motive here was to protect our interests because we were going to spend a lot of money on this puppy, and I wanted to make sure that we could learn what we don't know right now as to where we exactly are. Because again, if we just decide to demolish it, if we find out later that we didn't really need to demolish it, that would be money well spent. So what we can do is redo this and ask for a design. And that
I
design to
that.
include
Yeah.
then an assessment of what's broken now.
right,
That
the
matter.
evaluation of
That's a
what's there and
valid
what can
point.
be used in the new design. Because
That's a
part of
valid
a
point.
design is the cost estimate, and you have to know whether or not you can use what's there.
Whoever's going to build it needs
That's-
to know what they have, what they're working with.
That's valid. James, you okay with that?
It really needs to be a little bit more, is what it really, I mean, we're really asking for a little bit
Sure.
bigger package here.
That's fine.
If we're gonna keep doing studies and not pull the trigger on this deal, does that mean that pool's not gonna open next summer?
Well, we didn't think it was going to open next summer anyway, just
I
because
thought
of
they
the time
gave us a
frame.
little leeway.
Yeah, the Department of Health said if we were showing due diligence moving forward.
To replace it or fix it,
Right.
Yeah.
let us open it.
Yes, that was my understanding.
Right, mine too.
Well, under this assessment number 2, section 3, it says after evaluation of our pool, we will compare renovation alternatives with places to give you a complete perspective for making planning decisions. So that was part of the game plan to do that already. Had they not come up with, I mean, have they even seen it as of this moment?
No, this one company has not seen it.
This Water's Edge.
Water's Edge has not come down here, no.
So they're just giving you a...
Where are they
boilerplate
from?
assessment.
Yeah, it doesn't say in here. Where are they from?
I can't tell.
I can't even.
I'm wanting to say they're out of Kansas.
Travel's part of the cost too, which may be why that one's a little higher, quite frankly.
Have they done any other work for cities in Oklahoma around us?
Yes.
That you know of?
I believe they have, let me scan through here, Ardmore. Oh, that's references. Hold on.
Be interesting to know what they actually did for these cities. Did they build them a new pool, or did they just tell them what's wrong?
I think they've actually been involved in it, is what they've done. But I can't find one right off the bat.
We can redo this if you want us to.
Let's do it.
James, you okay with that? We'll just redo this.
Sure.
John, what are the mechanics of this? We can reject these and redo, right?
Right.
What we'll do then is we'll ask, oh, I'm sorry, I'm away from the mic. What we'll do then is we'll ask for an assessment and design of a new pool.
Okay. I think it's a good idea.
And then, based on that, they can, and that would include them doing the RFPs for us, for the construction. And I would,
Cost of demolition and everything, right?
assuming
Should that
demolition
be
is what is
necessary?
appropriate.
Necessary.
Because we don't know
It's
that.
going.
Well, I don't know that we know that yet. I mean, for instance, if we slip lined it, like you alluded to earlier, that would not include a destruction. So
Right.
those are two
You know,
very different
there's some good
approaches.
concrete there. I mean, and that's a good base. I don't know why you want to tear all that out.
We talked
One of the
about
dilemmas
that.
we have, of
But
course, is
that-
we've had a
that's up to
leak that
them.
we haven't been able
Yeah,
to stop.
say, let's
That's
let the
up to
experts
them.
make
Why,
that
we shouldn't
decision.
even
Yeah.
be talking about that, so.
Well, we talked about
Anyway.
that in the spring, and they said, what we got it when we were all down there was, the piping underneath it, it had to be replaced. So that would, the bottom of the pool would have to be all dug up.
Not necessarily.
No, I think just the decks around the pool would have to be dug up and the lines
Right.
replaced.
Yeah.
There's
yeah,
one problem with the main drain, and that's the valve, the main valve.
Right, right.
And can we, is there a possibility we might consider changing that to like a water recreation facility rather than a pool? Because it may be more than just a pool.
Sure, I mean, that, we would ask for different
I
options
don't know
that
what the
we'd bring
natural name
to,
would be, but.
bring back to you.
That's
You know
what
what I'm
Bell
saying?
City did with
Yeah.
theirs. They
Right.
had a pool proper, and then they had
And Midwest
And
City.
then they have the
Slide.
splash
Midwest
park
City's done that,
area.
and like I said,
And then
Cushing
toys.
has, and,
Yeah.
so, okay.
We can do that.
So,
I
is there
mean, if
anything
we're
we need
going
to
to
do,
spend this
John?
kind of money, we need to make sure we do it
Let's go on.
right.
That's
Okay.
right.
We need to know what we
That's my mind.
want. I mean, if they thought you're really gonna put a splash park somewhere, then that may mean the piping can't be used. I mean,
Well,
what's
you
there? I mean, I have no
Can't
idea.
teach your kids how to swim in a splash park.
I know, but I mean, but I think that the two
Do the
are,
crawl
I
there
think you
in the
have to
pool.
have both of them
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I mean, I do.
Okay. Moving right along, right?
So that means I have approval to go on with the process. Do I need to bring it back up in front of the commission next meeting?
Oh, it's got to come back.
All right,
Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah, obviously, we reject these,
okay.
and, yeah, just come see me. We'll put together a new
Design.
RFP for design. Okay? I apologize for that misunderstanding. Again, it's just a question of approaches.
Hey, James, before I forget, also, I got permission on in front of the fans for the landscaping. I think that's the last of them.
Yeah, I need to get with you. I'll give you a report on that because we got some people that have offered to start landscaping and stuff.
Okay, good. All right, thanks. Okay. 14, consider a resolution declaring certain vehicles and equipment surplus and disposing of said vehicles and equipment by silent auction and donation. Certain vehicles.
Certain vehicles. The city of Shawnee has several vehicles, 14 to be exact, that are scheduled to be removed from the fleet, and staff requests that the commission declare the list of vehicles on page 111 surplus. We'd like to dispose of those vehicles except for unit number 1990 through silent auction. Unit 1990, we'd like to donate in lieu of towing fees because it has no monetary value, it's completely totaled.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Mayor Peterson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Stevens. Is there title, please?
Resolution declaring certain items of personal property surplus no longer needed for city purposes, describing said items and authorizing the sale of said items by silent auction, donating one record of the lost vehicle and lieu of towing fees.
Call roll, please.
Peterson.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Tran.
All right.
Mills.
Aye.
Young.
All right.
Holt.
All right.
Motion carries.
Motion carries, thank you. 15, consider bids.
No.
15, authorize city manager.
Huh?
Need more money
Yeah.
for planning,
Number 15.
acting planning director.
Oh, did I say 15? Did I say 15?
City manager to spend an additional $10,000. Do you have that one?
What did we approve before?
20.
Bids.
20.
I'm crowding in on the 20. I had hoped to have a planning director hired by now.
Sorry.
I'll explain that in just a minute.
I'm looking at what was sent out.
Yeah,
I was good
it's
till then.
Our extended one.
Our extended
Has
one,
it on
okay.
it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Authorize city manager to spend an additional $10,000 on contract for planning services during the community development director search.
I can answer that real
Okay.
quick. I had hoped to have a planning director on board by now. We didn't get very many applications. I did make an offer. We were in an agreement on all the terms, but then she had a family issue and declined. So I'm going to have to start over. And I need the money. I can't do this without Nancy. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
no
what it
doubt.
boils down to on this.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we're transferring the money out of the salary line items into the
Okay.
contract services.
Well, we know how important that issue is. Matter of fact, I got a call right before I came, and I know you guys get them too as well, about, my understanding is, I mean, first of all, Southern's gone, and Nancy's helping you, and now I understand that Mike Cox or someone is
Mike,
out.
yeah, Mike's out for a few days.
Few days, it's a
Yeah,
search.
it's-
So now we get further behind, and there are
Yes.
people wanting
And there are people
Bill
on
and-
vacation and.
Yeah, so we can't afford not to have someone.
Correct.
Yep.
And again, I mean, we've been advertising everywhere. The market's tight, and we've been really struggling with even getting people with bachelor's degrees applying. I mean, we get people, with real basic there's maybe some code enforcement experience, but really no planning director levels. So, but anyway, Nancy will stay with us for a while, and we got to pay her. She won't do it for free.
Darn. I know she's having so much fun. Okay. So, we have a motion.
Move to accept,
Motion by Commissioner Schramm.
approve, or whatever.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Peterson. Call roll, please.
Schramm?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Now, 16 then. Consider bids. A, cutting and mowing of rank weeds and cleanup of trash and/or debris award deferred from November 5th, 07.
Yeah, I asked this deferred last time because I couldn't tell you what it's going to cost, and you have a memo now on page 114 that Neva did the research, and it's a minor part of the line item that is covered. The rest of it's for demolition.
Okay.
So I recommend approval.
Okay. We have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Holt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Young. Call roll, please.
Holt?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Schramm?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries, thank you. B, West Tech Road Widening Project open.
John?
See, they got a fancy new sign out over there. Yeah, no kidding. Wow, thank you.
This item is the bid opening for West Tech Road. It's be a roadway improvement, 3-lane, east of Harrison for just over a quarter mile. First bid opened was from SAC Services out of Oklahoma City. Their bid was $750,956.60. And the second bid opened was from CGC LLC out of Purcell. Their bid was $658,557.40. This was the second rebid. Last time we only got one bid from CGC, and their bid at that time was $662,000. So their bid came down a little bit, but this is going to be more than what the Sac and Fox Nation currently has agreed to. So with that, we would ask that this item be deferred. Give me time to meet with Don Russell, the Sac and Fox engineer, and other Sac and Fox Nation representatives, and just see what they want to do with this, because this was supposed to be a 100% paid construction cost by the Sac and Fox as part of their development out there. We were just doing the bid letting and would be doing the inspection, so. Excuse me, lost my voice.
Move to defer it.
Motion by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Strand. Call roll, please.
Young,
Aye.
Strand,
Aye.
Mills,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Holt,
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. New business.
None.
Administrative reports.
Jim?
Flormine Jim. Got a new name. It's better than Polycarp, isn't it?
That's coming up here in a minute.
The one thing I wanted to say, I knit this part, so I don't know if I'm got it right or wrong, whatever. There's 3 acres for sale across from the water plant. It's from Hayes to where Bentley would be. It was vacated. And then it's from Kickapoo to Adelot. There's 3 acres for sale in there, and they contacted, wanted to know if we were interested. And I said yes, anytime land comes up around the plant, they're interested. It's got a house on it, I don't know if the house could be moved or what. But before I got too carried away of talking to the realtor and all that, I just wanted to let y'all know what was going on. Because I'm going to do some horse trading maybe.
That'd be for plant expansion.
Right.
Some of that 15 million gallon a day expansion. And
That's a lot of land.
Yeah.
And it's got a hole, it's got a big hole in it, but we have been hunting the place.
Right.
Once we get things going at the water plant, the sludge, dewatering and all that, that's what DEQ wants us to do with it, is fill. So, so we might,
It's not far to go. Yeah.
so we might could use it for that, or, it's just, land available by the water plant, so naturally that gets your attention. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be talking to them, and I just wanted to let
Okay,
you guys
good.
know.
Excellent.
Good.
Obviously, it's not in the budget. We just needed conceptual okay to pursue
Pursue
this
it.
a little bit.
I think we should.
If we do, it's going to have to come out in imbalances. We'll see. We'll keep you advised.
See, here we're going to squeeze, huh?
Tony?
I just wanted to let everyone know about the trash pickup schedule. For Thanksgiving holidays, there will be no trash service on Thursday. Thursdays, regular pickup customers will be picked up on Friday. Friday's pickup customers will be picked up on Saturday.
How's this being advertised?
Newspaper, Channel 30, website,
And no.
and here.
Can I make an observation?
Yes.
Union Street. West side of Union Street, which is a Thursday pickup day, the west side of Union Street is never picked up on Thursday. It's always picked up on Fridays. Don't know why. And I know my neighbors think I'm crazy because I go across the street and look in their poly cars. But it's just very odd. And
Dumpster
I
diving.
actually last Friday
Polycart diving.
followed the truck south on Union all the way down.
You didn't flag him down and, okay.
No, I was headed out of town. So,
Okay.
no, but I just thought it was odd, and I've watched it for the last couple of weeks. The first time it was like, okay, they're running behind on the route. Now it's become
A habit.
commonplace.
Okay.
And the whole idea of the polycarts was we don't want them out by the curb looking ugly,
I
with
agree.
trash sticking out. Well, it's looking ugly. They need to get either pay their overtime, do something. So that's my complaint. Another good positive thing, I had someone that pointed out how helpful the driver of the truck was in loading stuff up that didn't necessarily have to be loaded, but how polite the person was. So that's a good plug.
There are a couple of real good drivers.
My driver is a great driver.
And I was not aware of the problem on Union Street. I will address it tomorrow.
It's just now becoming something that I'm consistently seeing, and I just don't want it to become commonplace, that it's okay to pick up the routes a day late, because it's not.
Well, the way they do it on Beard Street is, Beard being one way going north, they pick up the west side of Beard 7 o'clock in the morning. The other side, maybe 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think that's the way they've been doing Union Street, because my trash is picked up at 7 o'clock in the morning, which I love. So it's like the end of the day, well, we just didn't get to that part of the route.
And then they don't come
Well,
back until tomorrow.
That's unacceptable, because that's not what's in the contract, and that's
Right.
not the plan.
On a regular basis,
Yeah, on a regular basis, they need to be picking up on the day they're supposed to pick up.
I agree.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all we have, Administrator.
That's it? Okay. Commissioners' comments? I think, okay, go ahead. Shoot.
I have one comment.
Go ahead.
I had the pleasure of being the co-MC person for the Veterans Day Parade, which was absolutely wonderful. The number of people in Shawnee that turned out for that parade, and the number of entries. It was a great parade. And if you didn't go, I encourage you next year to go, because it was really nice. The city was well represented there.
Wasn't too cold, huh?
Oh, it was beautiful.
It's been freezing before.
It was beautiful.
Last
The
year
weather
was
was beautiful,
great.
but it was it was a great parade.
Yeah, good.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I'd like to offer my condolences to the monastic community at St. Gregory's for the passing of Father Philip Baring, who died Sunday morning at the Abbey, and he will be interned tomorrow afternoon at the Abbey Cemetery. May God rest his soul. Thank you.
While you're doing condolences, let's once again offer our condolences to the Tarrant family for Glenn Bell Tarrant. My understanding the funeral, I think, will be Friday. So would encourage you to go if you can. I want to thank the chief for our Centennial Police pins, lapel pins. Thank you very much. So memento of a great year, great occasion. And I want to thank everyone, especially Vice Mayor Peterson and Tony Gray for helping with the Chinese delegation we had. I have some of the goodies up here. We have from Liaoning, we have it's the Year of the Pig. You know, if you guys are familiar with the zodiac, Chinese zodiac, this is the Year of the Pig, and this is a solid hand-carved jade pig, and it weighs about 10 pounds. It's unbelievable, and it's ornately carved with some other designs. I'm not sure what that is. We have a 24-karat gold plate here that's got a mountain face with a pagoda on top and some Chinese inscription on the back. And then I have a mirror image of the piece that we sent back to our sister city with our letter of intent with Jinchang City in the Gansu province. And we have on here that's celebrating the beginning of a mutual friendship. We have Jinchang City at the top, the Citizen Potawatomi Nation, and the city of Shawnee, November 15, 2007. And as far as we know, there has not been another community or city and a tribe participate in a sister city in another country. And a lot of people may think, why are we trying to set up a sister city in China? If they are not, they are rapidly headed to be the #1 economic power in the world. And to me, it's the same thought that we should have with the tribes that we have in our community, that we should be their friends, and it starts with the relationship and respect. And China obviously has extended their hand to us. This will pair with a sister state relationship. It's a trilateral that was signed on Friday. They all attended the centennial celebration, but with Gansu province and Liaoning. So Liaoning is, the province of Liaoning, which is like a state, has 42 million people. They have the largest city is 8 million, like LA. Gansu is smaller. Liaoning is really the mentor province. But it's a long journey that we begin in establishing those relationships. Maybe nothing happens for several years, 5 years, 10 years, but we as a city of Shawnee will benefit in the long run with those long-term relationships. And when other people wake up and say, you know, maybe we better pay attention to the Chinese, we will have already had a relationship there and be prospering as a result of, doing business back and forth. They're already asking, us to come over, and they want to find some common ground. But it's an exciting opportunity. We had 16 delegates here, 14 from Gansu, 2 from Liaoning, and we had a great behind-the-scenes tour of the Grand Casino, Shawnee Milling Company, at the guest of Bill Ford. Went out to Eaton Corporation, and we actually have three really large corporations right now that have relationship or manufacturing facility in China, that being Central Plastics, Wolverine Tube, and Eaton. And many of us, like myself and Stink Free Products and a few others, actually have suppliers in China right now. And if you don't work with them, you're missing out. So we have great opportunities, and we had host them at my house, which was kind of fun, and then we went out to the Citizen Potawatomi Nation Cultural Heritage Center, had a nice reception. They had a tour of the facility, and then we had our ceremony with our signing ceremony. And again, this hopefully will be our new display case, hopefully somewhere out there, where we can start the relationship and maybe have a formal signing of a sister city somewhere in the near future. So I appreciate everyone's help in making that happen.
Well, I'd like to echo on that, Mr. Mayor. We sat at a table, and when the 3 delegates found out that they were sitting with 2 sports officials, we really had some exciting conversations going there for a while. We really did. And everybody that was involved in this, and I'm talking about Linda and everybody, it was just absolutely a great thing to be able to sit down and visit. And of course we had a little bit of difficulty with the interpreter, but we enjoyed our conversation, and hopefully we can, down the road, be able to send some folks over there and be treated as well as they were treated here. It was just outstanding.
It was a powerful experience, and like I said, I appreciate it. And this one is, we're not trying to put the burden onto the sister city committee that we have right now, the council we have right now, which is with Nika Ho, that will continue on. This one's kind of been, the burden's kind of been pushed over to economic development. So SEDF and the chamber and the city will try to move this forward from an economic development standpoint. And of course, OBU and St. Gregory's, Seminole State College, and Gordon Cooper were all there as well, and we'll see how that prospers in the future. But I appreciate everybody's help.
To add a note to that, before the delegation left town, I put a patent in their hand to send to a manufacturer in China, and so we will hear something within the next few days.
Not wasting any time.
Didn't waste any time at all.
Let's get after it.
The head lady was there, and it took a moment to get to her, but she was in charge of the games, and the game called Dart Drop, which was invented here in Shawnee by Tasman Cudjoe. Nice game, and they're going to find a manufacturer for us on that deal.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Strand, second by Commissioner Young. Call roll, please.
Schramm,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Holt,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Mills,
Aye.
motion carries.
Motion carries, thank you. The meeting for the Shawnee Municipal Authority, November 19, 2007. We have a quorum. Consider approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Vice Mayor Peterson,
Second?
Second by Commissioner Holt. Call roll, please.
Peterson?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Tran?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Administrative reports?
None.
New business?
None.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Schram,
Second.
second by Commissioner Young. Call roll, please.
Tran?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Open the meeting for the Shawnee Airport Authority, November 19, 2007. We have a quorum. Consider approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Strand,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Peterson. Call roll, please.
Tran?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Administrative reports.
Rex Hennon is the interim assistant airport manager. He's off to a great start. A little under the weather today, but he's hanging tough.
He's doing a good job.
And, he's doing real well. So, appreciate it.
Okay. New business?
None.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Young,
Second?
second by Commissioner Holt. Call roll, please.
Young?
Hey, Tony, don't go away.
Aye.
Thanks.
Stevens?
Aye.
Tran?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. We're adjourned.